That was a pretty decent countdown.
Your seconds are very inconsistent.
But I still went from in correct order. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's all that matters, right?
Pure.
Mm-hmm. One of these days, I'll church it up and have a legitimate counter, and everything will be right with the world for Naz.
So if you have an on-screen counter, the problem is it will get to 0 and then there'll be a hang anyway. Because
Yeah,
everyone, doesn't matter if it's me because I've done it, Space Tomato or CIG themselves, every time you have a countdown,
mm-hmm.
and then there's just a hang afterwards because you weren't actually ready to hit the button.
Yeah, you thought you were ready, but then something happened, and whoopsie daisy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So like countdowns are just super meaningless.
Yeah, it's a
Hi everyone.
wishful thinking. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 82 of the Pathfinders podcast. We are the Pathfinders, and we are charting the way through all the nebulous information surrounding Star Citizen and Squadron 42 and their development. I am Tree0311 or 0311, here with my partner in crime.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nazeris, apparently.
Yeah, and we're going to be hanging out for a bit and talking the latest development news. Latest within the last week and a half, 2 weeks, just because life.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yup.
That it does.
Jesus, Bliss friend. Oh, hey, Bavar, good to see you. Thanks for coming and hanging out, man. Yeah, glad you're able to catch us live. We always get to hang out in Discord, but we never get to talk live during the stream. Halengar, thanks for coming and saying hi. Thanks for joining us. Good to see you from Paul's Discord. Thanks again, Blizzrad, for continuing your sub and support. But yeah, it's been a week and a half, 2 weeks since we had our last show. Yeah, that's
30 months is 2.5 years.
Yeah, since we started, we're well over 2 years now, right? Good grief. Yep. Wanted to do a show sooner than this, but today's I had today off, but yesterday was day 8 in a row of Army annual training for me, because ours is split this year, and so just super busy with that, and of course I have one day off, and then I've got a 24-hour shift tomorrow, so I'm like, yay!
Oh, fun.
I'm tired. Yeah, super fun. Really wish I had more time off, but I've after my shift tomorrow, I've got like a week and a half off before I work again, so that's good. Nazareth, how you been, buddy?
I don't know why people keep asking that question.
Because it's the polite thing to do.
Yeah, well, I have time blindness, and I don't know what happened. Things. Good, I guess. I think. I don't know. I can't. People ask that, and I don't know what to reply.
Have you been playing Space Engineers or Star Citizen, or
a little
what
bit?
you been up to?
A little bit of Star Citizen, a little bit Space Engineers. Nothing too interesting. I haven't seen Worms yet, which got me a little bit upset.
You haven't seen what?
The Worms. I haven't seen the Valakar.
Oh, those.
I called the Valakar. We're at the Hathor things. I've been all over those Hathor bases, and I haven't seen a single one.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I see. I didn't know they were there until they got me, and it totally startled the crap out of me. Because no one told me. I hadn't like spoiled it for myself. No. Oh gosh. It's one of the moons around Arcor.
No.
No.
You only have 2. It's either Aberdeen or Daimler.
No, it's Aberdeen. Aberdeen. Sorry. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Person.
Yeah. I didn't fly. I was a passenger, and so I was like, "Where the hell are we?"
You have a map strapped to your wrist.
Mm-hmm. But I wasn't paying attention.
Okay.
I was a passenger, so I
Fair
was just like vibing in my head, and then I was who was I playing with? I was grouped up with Dell. It was me and Dell and a few other people. Gosh, I'm brain farting. This is a couple of weeks ago, um, and they just came out of the out of the ground. Totally wasn't expecting it, and they literally came. I was in, like, I don't know if it's intentional, like but I think there was a delay in their spawn, so that they spawned literally right where I was standing, and they were all around me. And so I was a little bit tired. It was late in the evening, so uh, uh, I screamed because I was startled and was a little bit like not paying great attention. But yeah, I think uh, the animations. I think there's a little there's some sync issues with the animations and how smoothly they play, I guess. And I don't know if there's a sync issue between the animal character and like what the server is telling it to do. It just seemed a little bit. Some of them seemed a little bit disjointed. Other ones they played just fine, but it seemed like there was a. It was almost like when characters around you are sort of desynced, like players, and they kind of like stutter a little bit. But some of them, other ones, seem to work just fine. So I think it's just they've got some kinks to work out for them. But I thought they're really cool. They definitely startled the hell out of me. Um, but yeah, I'm all for more creatures. I'm looking forward to, and yet not, the ones where, remember when they showed them at CitizenCon, that are down in the caves coming up out of the water, like,
Oh, the horror ones.
yeah, ooh,
Yeah, the
like
Nightmare Valatar. Yeah.
yeah, like I
Yeah.
think it'll be good gameplay, but at the same time, I know it's going to scare the crap out of me.
I wouldn't know. I haven't seen them in game yet.
It's going to happen. Give it time. Don't worry. You're going to get worms. Everybody gets worms
I
eventually.
spent 2 hours at a Hawthorne base. I guess they're only on Aberdeen because I spent 2 hours at a Hawthorne base on Daymore, soloing the ground base.
Huh. I wonder, like, it'd be interesting to know what the triggers are for, like, what because they talked about them in the ISC, and so, like, did they not come out because it was just you? I was in a group of 4, but then there was also a bunch of other people. There's another group that was at one of the other. There's a lot going. We went to the unoccupied location on Aberdeen. There was people fighting over the other two. And they didn't pop up until one of the other groups, I guess they won, and came over, and several of them came over to ours, and then they started popping up. And so I don't know
if there's like a noise floor you have to reach.
Yeah, a noise floor, an activity floor. Kind of like if you think about like Tremors,
Yeah, I mean
like,
that's how they like
running
introduced the big one. It's like you have to drive around on the ground to get them to come up, so it would make sense.
Yeah, enough pitter patter of feet to piss them off, or something.
There was also bombs being dropped, so like,
yeah,
you would think. And was it blitz my ship that I came in on, and then
like,
left.
Is it is it also triggered, or is the trigger like the stage, like what's going on at the location? If you haven't done anything, does it actually get them? Did they actually show up, or do they not show up until like you've actually advanced or done some sort of advancement of the
if
event?
they I don't think there is. Well, I guess if you turn the dish on, that's an advancement, but that would be really dumb. The
laser makes them come out, Shimpasta, but like I saw them well before that, and multiple times.
Yeah, so they're supposed to be normal, like they're creatures. Like you can find a Copian, like you can find a grazer to be able to find worms. They're just under the sand. I don't know if they're anywhere other than the Hathor bases. They should be, because they are supposed to be just invasive species, sand snakes, sandworms.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm looking forward to getting more lore behind them.
And how on earth did they get over here from Lear?
That was in some of the the tablets. You can find some lore about them on the tablets at the locations and stuff.
Tell me they're
Sugar has to be walking without rhythm.
Straight up plagiarizing Starfield. Please tell me they're plagiarizing Starfield.
For what?
They have an apex predator in Starfield that they do stuff with. Actually, that is kind of the B story of the entire game. Now I'm thinking about it. Yeah. Now I want to go play Starfield because I missed that storyline. I want to get to the end of that storyline now.
Yeah, Bavar says, if I remember correctly, it was to try and farm them. And Shimpasta says yes. Yeah, I remember reading the little
farm the
journal notes.
All right.
Yeah, you got to farm them so that way you can put them on the end of your really big fishing hook for the fishing gameplay we don't have.
No, they're for space whale. You farm the sandworms to get the space whale.
That way you can put it on the hook that you drag behind your C2 when you're flying through the clouds at Orson. Visit Orson and enjoy an invigorating afternoon of fishing for the space whales.
Which will get you arrested.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's catch and release, though. You got to catch them.
Wow.
And then you
if you
scrape the barnacle things
the
off.
illegal one is,
and then
for all their parts.
Yeah, and then you got to use like a size 3 tractor beam in order to throw the whale back after you're done harvesting the things off their backs and stuff.
So we should... I think that we have the juveniles, but these ones are awfully small.
Yeah, I don't remember size-wise where they fit within the spectrum, because they were
all of
easily my character's height.
Juvenile come up later.
Northern Trooper says, "Is it the baby Valakar, or is there another name? Kind of like a baby Yoda? Do they have an actual name?"
Yeah, I'm just ignoring the reference.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure it's juvenile Valakar, and I don't know if they have a biome distinction yet because we only have the one.
Yeah, I think they're the juveniles, and
nope, that's gonna break stuff.
We don't have the adults yet, or I've only seen the one size, so I don't know if there are. I haven't run into anything suggesting or seen anything suggesting that we have other sizes yet. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing them elsewhere. I'm just really looking forward to because like they did so much for the caves to give them ambiance in terms of sound and lighting and other things, and now some have copions, but anything they can do to make locations feel more alive that isn't just NPCs, especially when it's not like a man-made location. I'm looking forward to that.
Caves won't scare me till there's spiders in them.
Oh gosh, yeah. It like spiders and crab things and other giant insectoids that can take off an entire leg without you even blinking an eye. Anyway,
that's what we need soft body destruction on characters.
Yeah, soft body destruction on characters. And because they have carapaces, you can't do soft body destruction on them. They're you have to have like armor piercing ammo and stuff. Interesting how we got on a tangent on Valakar at the very beginning of the show. So this evening, we're covering development news, and we're going to be looking at the April 9th, the Roadmap Roundup, and then the March monthly report that came out or like a week and a half ago. The Roadmap Roundup is really just showing some things that we already knew of, and adding them on there and showing them as released and stuff. But I'm very hopeful that leading up to Invictus launch week and 4.1.1, that we'll get some other additions added on there. And I do believe that in the next month we're probably going to, because we're 4.1 is live, that once the patch goes live, the following patch is supposed to get added to the release view and start having things put on it. So we are due for 4.2 to get added to the roadmap. Pardon me. And start having deliverables added
if they
to
feel
it.
like it,
If they feel
if
like
they
it.
want, because
the
apparently
roadmap,
this is the entire how they're doing community content this year is all just vibes.
yeah, it's a bit all over the place. They're definitely changing a lot of things, and with Jake leaving,
Or just nuking it.
who knows what's going on with the roadmap. It's going to be interesting to see how that gets picked up. And I'm grateful that the comms dive that Niku is doing, as long as that is, stays a regular thing, I think that's great. But I want it to be great in addition to keeping up with the roadmap. That's we don't need to give.
I would give up the comms dive, patch notes, IC and SCL. All of them. I would give up all of them if they freaking keep the progress tracker updated.
Ooh, bold statement.
I would, because
Yeah.
monthly reports and progress tracker, that is, I can live on that.
Mm-hmm.
Because that means I know what's being worked on and like what they're looking to work on. And then what's done with a bit of guesswork.
Yeah.
Currently we have what just released and what may be in the next 6 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
nothing in between.
There's a giant void that
and
like
yes, for those...
I love to see dev statements and everything, but yeah, sweet, we've got 4.1 on the roadmap, and then we got 1.0 on the roadmap, and we've got nothing in between. The progress tracker has very little deliverables on it that go out past now.
The only team that has any work is the core gameplay.
Yep.
And most of that is, again, could be anywhere in the next 6 years. Crafting and base building is basically the biggest things on there. Yeah. Because we have no idea where engineering is.
Yeah,
that's kind of why I've like cracked open all the
what's going on with the monthly reports
channels. Like, if CNG is not going to tell me what's going on, the leak channels will definitely tell me a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's go ahead and we'll switch screens.
Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Hey, Victoria, thanks so much for the sub. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, well, I wanted to. Before I switch screens, I'll just do a little reminder. Oops. Oh, no. Shit. Hey. I just knocked off my Toby.
Oh.
Not that I need it right now, but there we go. Stay. So as you can see on the bottom of the screen, and I'm actually wearing my Stack Up t-shirt. I am continuing my support of stackup.org. And so, cool. It is still the MooBot thing's doing it. And I think this is Call to Arms 10, Season 10, I think I remember, for their donor drives. And so I'm continuing my support of stackup.org. If you want to learn about stackup.org, you can put, I think it's !stackup in chat. They'll give you some links. And if you want to donate to StackUp, to my donor drive, you can put !charity, I think it is. And that'll give you the link there. But basically,
doesn't come through as an announcement.
Doesn't come through as what?
The first one, the StackUp, comes through as an announcement from MooBot, but the charity one doesn't.
Oh, that's weird. Huh. It should be on the timer. I
Consistently
wonder if
inconsistent.
You're right. Interesting. I wonder why that is. But anyway, so Stack Up, what they do is they fight PTSD and they help veterans and active military members or members of the military combat PTSD and the symptoms of being deployed or being stationed far away from family, friends, and your support groups via the power of gaming and gaming communities like this. As everyone probably knows, I am a veteran. I'm a Marine Corps infantry veteran, but I'm also a member of the Army National Guard here in my home state of Idaho. And PTSD is something I live with and will live with for the rest of my life. But one of the chief ways that I deal with my own struggles is I play video games and I hang out with my friends who play video games and we talk about video games just like this right now. This is my therapy. Congratulations. You guys are all my unpaid therapists. But it works for me. It's a great outlet for me. And I want other veterans like me to find that outlet and find something that works for them. So that way they can live happy, healthy, productive lives. So I support their mission. And what stackup.org does is they coordinate a bunch of events. They have a very active Discord where they have gaming events and chats and stuff like that. They do their own streams, but then they also connect veterans and members of the military with gaming gear. They'll send you if you request it, they'll send you a console or a computer monitor or games, peripherals, something like that. So that way you have access to video games and in order to combat PTSD. So it's a mission I believe in. So getting a little bit late start to the donor drive this year for Stack Up, just because the first part of this year was real busy. But just to remind everybody, the subs, if you subscribe to the channel, I take that money and I donate it to stackup.org. But you can also donate directly, and that will show in the little bar down at the bottom. And then when we start getting donations, that will show the names will pop up on the right-hand side, benefiting Stack Up, and it'll show the most recent donor and stuff. So I really appreciate any support you want to provide, but just being here, hanging out with us, and suffering through an ad or two, every little bit counts. So let's go ahead and switch screens.
And a completely unrelated note, which is way less important.
Oh, shit.
If only.
Victoria, thank you so much for gifting those subs. Victoria just gifted 5 subs. So thank you so much for the support and for gifting those subs. And you asked, where'd that question go? Were you ever on the New York? Are you talking about the ship, the New York?
Oh, that makes sense. What do you mean on New York?
Was that the question?
A ship called New York?
I'm not aware of it. Is that one of the new LPDs in the San Antonio class? I deployed on the Denver first and then the Ogden. I never got to deploy on the new San Antonio class. I've seen them, but I haven't. Those came after me. Age, old. Please continue, Nat. Sorry, but thank you very much for that support, Victor. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, everyone. Well, yeah. No, thank you, everyone, and thank you twice, Victoria, because apparently one of them went to me.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. Resetting brain. Oh, as a side note, we do have the juveniles, so it has a weird class of the Valakar. There are 3, but instead of it being baby juvenile adult, it's juvenile adult apex. Apex is the 300, so it's 5, 15, 300 meter. So we have the 5 meter juvenile Valakar.
I wonder if we'll be able to find their eggs. Or whatever they hatch
Not
from,
the way they were talking at CitizenCon. All of that happens elsewhere.
Oh man, can you imagine
I mean,
you inadvertently go around a corner in a cave to like a cavern, and then you see like all the, the very aliens-esque eggs, and you're like, where the parents were, oh.
I think the best egg monster movie I've seen would have had to been the 2000 something Godzilla, I think it was. Where they just, I think it was the stadium. They went into the stadium and then in this like cove dug out into the stadium, they were just in a room of eggs that glowed and were slimy and stuck with crap all over the walls.
Ooh.
Perfect. We need a flood in Star Citizen. We need some flood-like thing. Oh, it's not the Valakar, but still.
Halo flood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
Definitely need something like that. Some disease that takes over not just biological things, but like buildings and trees and rocks and just something that would encompass an entire planet in grotesque biological stuff.
Yeah. What would be the Star Citizen equivalent of the face
Pyrocrabs are not near any nightmares. Like, have you seen the thumbnails of some of the creatures coming out? Like, pyrocrabs have nothing on any of the bipedal stuff that's coming out. Like, those things creepy.
Yeah. Yep.
We got the Nightmare
I know which ones.
Valakar.
I know.
Like, crabs
I
are
know
just
exactly
crabs.
ones you're talking about, and you're like, oh, geez, you're gonna be walking along in the dark, and all of a sudden it's just gonna pop out of a shadow, and it's gonna stare at you for a second and make this really weird, creepy noise, or you hear the noise and you're like, where is it? Where is it? Yeah.
Yep. It can scream, and,
Yeah.
the scream can sound like it came from anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be a really cool like game design thing. Is like normally, especially in like more realistic games, they want sounds to come from a space specifically. But if they took the scream of one of these like swamp thing monsters, and they actually didn't make it directional, they actually made it omnidirectional, so it just can't sounds like it comes from everywhere.
Remember the how they were talking about the reverb system? Like, could you imagine that in like an abandoned um, distribution center, like the underground portions that are flooded and partially caved in and stuff, and those sounds are reverbing, and you have no idea where it's coming from. It's just yeah, it could be
Cupid has
a
hired you
quarter
to go
mile
clear out
down.
these
Yeah.
pests in the mines.
Yeah.
We've
The
lost
fuck I am.
2 or 3 miners to some wildlife in the caves, and we'd like you to go get rid of it. And you get down there, and they lock the door behind you. It's like, well, oh no. So yeah, we have juveniles, then adults are 15 years, and Apex is the 300 with the weird skin pearls. All right. Now we can get into the fun stuff. And by fun stuff, I mean mostly okay, and then and then erg. All right. As we are to do, we like to read the headers, and this time it's actually quite different than the last time we read a Roadmap Roundup. There we go. Right? Have we read one with the? I don't think so. Anyway, we like to read the headers when we read straight from different documents that are from Stage 8 themselves, so that way we convey the meaning that they actually intend to convey with these documents. So, Roadmap Roundup for April the 9th, 2025. Hello, everyone. Every 2 weeks-ish, we accompany the Roadmap update with a brief explanatory note to give you insight into the decision-making that led to any changes. This is part of an effort to make our communication more transparent and more specific and more insightful for all of you who help make Star Citizen and Squadron 42 possible. Just a reminder, the 1.0 column showcases features and content planned for the inclusion in or before 1.0. This means that you may not have to wait for the 1.0 release to experience them. As features content in the 1.0 column become ready, they will migrate left into a point patch column for the release. Be sure to check back every 2 weeks for the latest updates. with that, let's dive into this week's Roadmap Roundup, CRG community team.
Northern Trooper, what's a Langolier? Naz, do you know what that is? I have not heard that word before. Or if I have forgotten.
Yeah, that's a movie.
So, notable changes. April 9th, 2025, release view 4.1, which obviously is released. These first several that are being set to tentative means that these will be likely releasing in a 4.1.x patch, aka most likely 4.1.1 for Invictus launch week. But if they do have an additional .x patch for 4.1 between now and 4.2, they could also be added in then. So, Naz, I'm brain farting now, but I don't think they don't usually do a .x patch for Alien Week, do they? Do you remember?
No, I don't think so. They really
I'd have
some
to
years
look.
like it's very random what they do for Alien Week. Some years it's just meh. It's a day and they put out a community post for it. Others it's they actually did something for it. I forget which year they did something for it.
Mm-hmm.
Very rarely do stuff for Alien Week.
Yeah.
Because they don't have aliens. We do now, so maybe they do something with Wicklow.
Yeah. And, who knows? That maybe this year, because this is the whole content focus, maybe they've got content planned and we'll have a 4.1.2. Who knows? But
I mean, it would be absolutely crazy if they actually gave us a mission giver.
Ooh, oh, man. Yeah.
I told you.
Yep.
I have opinions and I'm upset about a lot of stuff in Star Citizen right now.
That's okay. I am here for it. You're my unpaid therapist, and I'll be yours too. Yeah. You can't see it, but they've got my reclining Eames chair over here. Naz, come in, sit in my office, make yourself comfortable. I'll get out my notepad.
Really? Have you seen him?
Yeah.
Does he show up anywhere but on the Moby Glass where all of the other not mission giver missions show up?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I feel you on there. He does now. It is rendered to texture, which even though I would rather go up and
so is
see
Dooley.
him. Yeah, but
so if this is supposed to be our first mission giver, then Dooley was a mission giver. So this is not our first mission giver.
Yeah. So 4.1 space combat mission patrol. Adding a patrol mission that takes the player through a series of patrol points. At each waypoint, players can run into a variety of objectives and encounters. This card has been set to tentative.
I mean, that's literally like the first mission in the vertical slice. But like, as with most of these combat missions, somebody said like we had this back in like 320 something. Like, yes, these are actually really good that they're back because they're back in a way that they're like cut up and built for the current mission system.
Bingo.
Like, this is really good work. Like, the space combat missions, even though like not many people care about them, are really good to be back in the game. Like, there's a lot of good work in these couple space missions. And pretty soon after these space missions, we get combined arms missions.
Did I forget on the last episode, did we cover that post comment from oh gosh, mission guy,
Elliot?
Yeah, from Elliot, where he talked about, hey, there's some, we have some of the missions already back in. We're adding more of them, but they're going to be different. Some of them aren't going to be coming back.
Yep.
Okay, we did cover that. Yeah, that's exactly what this is.
Prophesying this exactly.
Yeah, they are bringing back missions that we had before. They're bringing they're adding in new missions that are somewhat like what we had before, but different now. Some things we aren't going to see again just because they were dated, and eventually we'll see what they really want to do with it. So it'll be interesting to see.
Please get rid of the Kovalex investigation. That needs to die, never be heard of again.
Yeah,
give us Hitman levels.
It was a proof of concept. We need to take that 1,000 times further. and that is the
And they've
gameplay I
said as
want
much.
more than anything. Yep.
Yeah, and they've said as much. Like, hey, the Gerudo Kovalex mission thing was, like, they had the seed of the idea. It was kind of like the original underground facility. They had the seed of the idea, but it wasn't really what they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why we never got a better investigation mission, because there wasn't the systems in the game to build it with.
Yep.
So that's why it just kind of died in the vine, like the underground facilities that were rushed out for CitizenCon.
It's a
But they
proof
just
of
weren't
concept
what
that
they wanted to
has
do.
stuck around forever because they do want stuff like that, but more involved, but also not you doing the same Kovalex mission the exact same way with the same script over and over and over again. You know, yeah.
Yeah, I think also, like, investigation missions like that, like point A to point B, you are finding out a story and finishing the story. They should have a system to like mark it off, like blacklist it on players' accounts. You've done this mission. You no longer see this mission again.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's kind of weird when I went through the Kovalex mission and then, logged off, it wiped the account back when. And you log on again and you go do the Kovalex mission again because there was only like 5 missions in the game.
Yep.
And it's just like, you've heard all the voice lines, you've done all the things. It's like, it just sours the entire narrative. But like, what else are you gonna do? So like, if it, like, in a game that is trying to sell itself as a universe, it would be really nice if they just removed it from, because there is plenty of other stuff people can do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what different investigation missions, investigation missions should be rarer, because 1, they're harder to make. 2, it's not every day that you should be hiring random people in the street to go investigate things.
Yep.
And in the meanwhile, they have literally an entire other universe falling apart at the seams.
Yeah, there
like,
should be,
even with the 2 systems we have, there's plenty of stuff to do. Assuming you don't mind content or combat.
Plenty of like low level investigation missions, because eventually the system will generate them based off of events happening, and you need to go and figure out, hey, what happened, and so you go and but the idea is that you'll find a derelict ship, and you'll have to EVA or platform your way through it, depending on if it's in space or on the ground, and cut and hack and engineer, and make your way through the ship to find the different pieces of information on different computers and tablets, and lockers and stuff, in order to discern what happened, because it needs to be systemic but have an element of procedural generation, so that way it's not even an element, a lot of procedural generation, so that way no two Starfarer wrecks break up in the same manner. No two Starfarer wrecks have the same types of clues in the same places. There'll be things in different lockers on different computers and different terminals and different bits of information. Some doors will be closed, some will be open, some will be partly open, all sorts of different things to change the experience, and make it different each time, and you'll have different loot, and different cargo aboard, all that they can randomize all of these things in a procedural way that's logically driven, to make it feel believable. But they also don't need to have, they don't need to be cargo contract in terms of number of them, because you shouldn't have just a gazillion wrecks all over the place, like you would have a constant flow of contracted delivery missions to support the economy of the UEE. Yeah, sorry, tangent. Naz.
Yeah, no, that's good. Also, Simpost said, well, I thought people liked it. I assume you're talking about the Kovalex mission. People love it. I love it. It was a great mission.
Mm-hmm.
One, because it was the only mission with any depth. It was the only mission that was not go here, shoot thing.
Mm-hmm.
or Dropbox.
For the
it was
longest
the
time.
only yeah. And there was voices. There was voice acting in it. There were lines. There were like stuff to do within the mission, and it had 2 endings. Like it was by far the best mission of all the baby persistent universe. Except some might argue that Tessa Bannister shifts it some other way, but Bannister wasn't the mission; she was the mission giver. It's fine. Anyway, second one and third and fourth, like these are all very, 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 very similar. Refueling, mining, towing missions. Where are those? We'll get to where missing stuff is later. Anyway,
Yeah.
space
They're gonna get
combat
there.
dash ambush. We have, at least I have many rants of missing stuff. We'll get there. Adding
Yeah.
an ambush mission
There is
that
an
takes
answer to that.
players to set a trap in an asteroid cluster and ambush high-value target ship as they pass by. I thought this was the other way around. I don't know how I missed that. This is players setting up an ambush, not walking into an ambush. For some reason I thought these were missions to go and get ambushed. I don't know why.
That would.
100% tentative.
We need you to draw them out. I want you to walk into this trap and draw them
Well,
out.
so like one of the Bannister missions was you jumped in and they ambushed you.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that's what that was. Is you jump in and they jump you.
Yep. Space combat mission, UEE training missions, adding a suite of UEE training missions that that teach players about various ship combat scenarios, introducing new challenges as the player progresses. This card has been set to tentative.
Now they need 2 things for this.
Yeah, I'm gonna be reserved about these because it'll be interesting to see how they go about executing them because there's a lot to unpack with space combat training.
So they need 2 things. One, they need reputation with the UE. Or at least the UEEN, technically. I think the UEEN should have its own reputation.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Or
Yep.
UEEN or UEE advocacy, which I think it would be more advocacy. It depends on how they want to play it.
Yeah, and
narratively.
doing those gets
But-
you UEE overall rep, but you know it's
Yeah,
Yeah.
but much less. Because I think the other classes and class of like gameplay that other branches would bring, like if you want reputation with I don't know what branch it technically is, but like the politician branch of the UE, I think that should be something that you like. All the gameplay for that is like in Terra, in Earth, like in the cities. And that has nothing to do with combat, with mining. It is all like hacking and espionage level stuff. Because like bureaucrats. So I don't think like combat pilot should get you any flack with the stuffy people who sit in the council. But also, they need the guy from the original flight tutorials. Looking very confused.
sorry. My wife asked for the pin for our Amazon Prime Video, and I was like, "Oh, we have a pin," and so now I'm resetting it for her.
Pulls out sewing pin. Jump.
There we go.
Like it wouldn't be go get jumped. That wouldn't be what read on the mission line. It would be, hey, go and investigate the spot. Oh, there's bad guys there. I had no idea. Or, hey,
Who
this
could have
guy's out of
seen this
fuel. Could you
happen?
go help him? Oh, there's bad guys there.
How could this happen?
Like it wouldn't be, hey, could you go get into this ambush?
Mm-hmm.
But
and
on the like roadmap side, they don't say this is a they don't read out the mission text. This is this type of mission. What the mechanics are on the roadmap. They don't
Mhm.
Not 1-to-1. I promise I'm not crazy.
I'm hoping that the mission is like very difficult to do without um, some sort of quantum, QED. It's QED and what are the two interpretations?
EMP?
No, there's the one that keeps you from.
Form snare?
Yeah, there's the one that pulls you out of quantum, and then the one that also keeps you from jumping away.
Snare is the one that catches. QED is the one that keeps them.
Yeah, but I like I want those missions to be very difficult to do without that.
Oh, you want the ambush ones to be really difficult? That makes sense.
Mhm.
That would. Ooh, boy, that makes. Oh, I hope so too. Now, I'm gonna be so upset because that's totally not gonna be a case.
Oh yeah,
You're gonna
I
rock
mean,
up
it
in a
very well
player,
could
it's
be.
wipe the floor, and.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, you
Yeah,
could
that
show
would-
up with a really big ship, and it's a small target, and it's like, okay, well, this is not economical. But if you show up with a small group of people, and you've got somebody with a snare or a dampener, and that allows you to have a bit more time to to take them down before they jump away, because otherwise you're like a race against time to take them down before they're able to recharge their quantum, align and jump away.
Mhm.
So
that
so
would make. I really like that because it gets the ships that are basically useless currently, which
mhm.
will become more useful and then not be useful. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to fix the whole trade lanes with the new quantum system. We'll talk about that later. Not this episode because that's a whole other episode on how like interdiction is going to work with the
Mhm.
new system. That's very much not today's topic.
And before you read the next one, Scissor Fuzz, so refueling, mining, towing missions, etc. So they got started working on they made some missions and introduced them, and then there's a bunch more that they were working on that they didn't then stopped working on. And the reason they stopped working on them is because of the mission system refactor, because they knew,
Those are lazy and they don't want to do any work. They're just hoarding money.
yeah,
You've
they
been
knew.
lied to this entire time. Chris is no longer a human. He has morphed into a giant dragon. He just sits atop his pile of money.
I literally just watched that clip from the original
I have no
Hobbit.
idea what you're talking about. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But they like, what was that, 2 years ago? It was in 2023, I think, when they had all those missions on the progress tracker that they're working on, and some of them got released, like the mining missions, or no, the salvage
You know what
missions.
team they were under?
But then they stopped working on them. They worked on them for a while, and then they stopped working on them, and they stopped because they knew they're going to have to refactor the mission system. And the more missions that they did before the mission system refactor, the more work they're going to have to do to refactor those missions after the fact. And so now they will be able to pick up on that work and finish building those missions that they started, um, with and making them for the new mission system, probably after or coinciding with the ones that they have. They've already refactored some of them, but they've got more that they have to go through and refactor to make them work with the new mission system. So when they talk about content this year, a lot of that content is just going to be updating the missions and getting them, and finishing the mission work that they started,
Yeah,
and getting it into the game.
Content is
Hey,
a
Mistral.
content is finally a very large open field. It's no longer more missions in more places or outposts. It is up to entire star systems, though we don't think that's coming in before dynamic sort of meshing. But all that is content. All the work for a new star system at the moment is before Plantech V5 is content. Ships are content. Missions are content. Now even mission givers are content. Stories content. Like, there is an insane field of possible content. It's no longer features and tech stuff. I don't know what that category would be, but tech. It's a very large field. The biggest problem right now is we're in this transition phase to get Squadron out. That's bug fix the crap out of the engine and rework the stuff that we need to rework before we get back onto the train of more features. The stuff for base building, crafting, Planet Tech V5, which they're still working on, but they're further out, so they're trying to nail down the engine as is.
Yep. All right.
The last one, which is very strange, redacted space combat mission. Adding a new redacted mission. I hate when they do that so much. Just if you're not going to put it up there, just don't put it up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they want to show that they are adding another thing, but then they're going to give you next to nothing except for its space combat. So
we could tell. We just read it 3 times. Like when I'm so what.
It'll be interesting to see. Like, there's leaks, but I don't think there's leaks about an event. I don't think they'd call it.
I don't care
a mission
what it is. I understand they're adding them.
Yeah,
sure. They don't need to put this on. This adds literally nothing to anything. We know they are working in combat missions. Saying we're not gonna tell you what we're making a combat mission. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Whoever wrote this is the only person who cares.
The only thing I can think of is there are elements to it that are related to feature work or narrative things that they don't want. They're keeping close to their chest. So
yeah,
I
understand that. I understand that
interesting to see what
this
it
is
is.
Probably part of the narrative thing, but
yeah.
If you're not going to tell us, nobody can care. We can't care about something we don't know about.
Yep. Juvenile Valakar, a new creature ready to challenge those who dare to cross its path. Yeah, that was the juvenile. Okay, so this card has been set to release, and I wonder. I guess we'll get a whole separate card for when they add in the adults.
Yep. Yeah, because they're all different. I mean, it's different art, different animation. Like they have to go back in the pipeline and do another one.
I wonder.
It's variant kind of.
Yeah, well, when they add, because obviously the Valakar is, used as a skeleton in animations and stuff that they'll tweak for a bunch of other different related or semi-related species. Well, probably not going to get an individual card for each juvenile and adult and apex version of all these other different Valakar
I imagine
variants.
by the time we get the apex, the creature pipeline will be moving too fast to do that.
Yeah.
Like every week's a new variant of the Valakar. Here's the cold one. Here's the hot one. Here's the acid one. Here's the no. Like that. Like I don't think we got cards for all the different temperatures of Copian and I keep wanting to call him Stalker, Grazer. We don't have the Stalker yet. The Stalker's later. And if there's not, I mean, there has to be, because they're nerds and they're not gonna not do this. There has to be an ice cave with a Mortal Stalker in it somewhere.
Here, I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna pull this up.
Every time you talk about the restaurants, I get more mad. It's not your fault. I'm not mad at you or anyone in chat specifically this time. But building interiors. I don't know if you guys remember, literally every show I was talking about building interiors and how super excited I is for it. And we got the promise that, like, hey, we're gonna pause building interiors because we want to work on getting DCs out and finishing DCs and adding stuff like the underground to DCs. And we totally promised we're not going to release this and drop it and move to literally anything else. We're just going to keep working on DCs until we're done. And then they freaking released it and then never worked on it again. And we still have no building interiors. With restaurants and player habs and underground races and stuff. And hacking. So I updated my spreadsheet for 4.0. Which window was it in? There it is.
You attracted the North End Trooper. said the H
Yeah,
word.
hacking. Yeah, a thing that I would like to spend a lot of my time. That I'm going to be hacking and crafting. That's literally all I want to do. Anyway, so the 2023 CitizenCon, I built a spreadsheet of all the features they talked about. I built a version today based on stuff that we were actually probably getting, which just include like Plantek V5, ray tracing, and like the stuff that they were like talking about. This is engine work for the future. We are only currently at 60.38%, including a lot of the stuff earmarked for 4.0, fire, resource management, blood, sweat, and tears. This is 2 years ago crap,
Yep.
and we're still only at 60%.
Yeah, plans changed. Things changed. It is what it is. Womp womp.
Look, raids. Apparently,
What?
the reputation gates don't even work. No, not Twitch raids. Raids in the game. That's one of the things. The hover, the stupid cargo mover. It's not even in game. Like it's there. Can't move it.
Mm-hmm.
Vehicles from Fate Elvers. I mean, we know why that doesn't work, but still.
All right. Let's keep it moving because we got to get through the roadmap roundup and then go to the monthly report. And the monthly report is good.
Yeah.
It's got some heft to it.
And more rants, I assure you. All right.
Mhm.
Atlas, Argo Atlas, DS.
Oh.
Adding the Argo's Atlas. Adding the Argo Atlas Geo, a power suit dedicated to mining with practical augmentations, including lasers. Nope, laser. There's only one. Storage and a new way to travel with jump packs. This card has been set to release. I've not had like a lot of time with it, but it's cool.
I haven't gotten to use it yet, but I think it's great.
Yes.
I like the function, and this was foretold in 2013. They said they were going to, this was part of an armor class, and they're going to have multiple different ones for different industrial uses way back in 2013. And here is concept
Your favorite screenshot.
This is in somewhere on a wall in Orson, or at least it was. What does that look like?
Orson, that looks like the Astro Armada in ArcCorp.
Yeah. I think I'm pretty sure it's Orson. Maybe not. This was in game. This shot.
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks like a salvage Atlas.
Yeah, it's a salvage
That's what it
atlas.
looks
And that was one of the examples that they said. They said for mining and salvage and or cargo, I forget what the exact verbiage was, but it was foretold. We've known that these were going to come, and now they're finally coming. And I haven't gotten to play with the Geo because I don't own one yet and I haven't had a chance to use it, but I think it's great. I love the idea that you can platform around in caves in it because I want more people to go to caves and do things in the caves because for a long time they just haven't gotten enough use. But I'm very much looking forward to having an EVA salvage version.
Yep.
Because I just think that that's a cool concept, and they've talked about that in the descriptions for ship concepts. Being able to deploy these and such. So this is probably next. I wouldn't be surprised. But obviously, you can see that it looks just like an Atlas. Very close.
And the most
it's got a
important
little
part,
thruster pack.
the most important part, they came out with or the same time they released it, they released an orange paint for it because it's default green.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So make
'Cause it
sure
is
if you get a
Argo.
Geo, make sure if you get a Geo, you pick up the orange paint to complete it because it comes in this weird green.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just because you're going mining doesn't mean you can't rock the orange as nature intended.
The only problem is that like you can still tell it's a Geo if you have an Atlas next to a Geo. One, the Geo has a backpack. Two, the Geo has, if it's orange, white caution stripes on the legs.
Mm-hmm.
So you can still tell them apart.
The Drake Golem. I like that name. I think that's fun. Adding Drake's new mining starter ship. This card has been set to release. I love the mashup look of this. Because,
it's good.
Yeah, Everybody knows that the cutter is my favorite Drake ship and one of my favorite ships in game. It's what I use exclusively for Zero to Hero, and I love that they took aspects of the cutter and made it into a little a mining starter ship. And I hope that they will make variants for it. I think it'd be worthwhile to make a salvage variant for it as well.
I mean, it wouldn't be hard. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Like it's fun to fly. What I was not expecting. It's actually really fun to fly. My only opinion for the aesthetic, or my only negative opinion of the aesthetic, is that it feels a little too Argo for Drake. But harnessing the power of, they warned us about this. They said, hey, manufacturers don't just have to stay in their lane. They're going to experiment. AKA, we're going to experiment with our brands. And to pull back and really meta-analyze, this is a game. These are fictional companies. They can make a orb and call it, a Drake ship. It doesn't actually matter. But it does seem like it'd be a little more of an Argo design than a Drake design. The only thing that's missing is it has VTOLs. Yeah. It's the shape of it just kind of feels a bit more.
Yeah, if it was a silhouette,
Argo.
you probably would have you could potentially have a hard time saying it wasn't an Argo ship. I think the only thing that really makes it Drake is the fact that they like literally used pieces and hard surfaces that are Drake art elements. Because otherwise, like if it was just the silhouette, from Citizen Con, you could be like, unless they gave you a very clear look at the cockpit, which is a
mule.
Oh God, yeah, it's a mule cockpit.
Yeah.
So if they gave you the wrong angle that you couldn't clearly see that it was mule, you wouldn't know. Yeah.
And where'd that thought go? Where'd it go? It was something about. The thought just ran out of my head.
Your hair did not catch it?
Oh, there goes again. Why would you do that? Traditionally, Drake's aesthetic is very like tube, like it is plating, like hull plating. So the cutter is very much like it's a vessel, right? It's very thin armor plating, and the Vulture also has nice armor plating. It's kind of like a rougher Misk. They both like smooth armor plating, where all the other ones have like angles or smooth curves. Misk and Drake do armor plates. And so the Golem is as little armor plating as possible.
I do love that how much of the the what are meant to be worky bits are exposed.
Yeah, no, it's good. Like I said, I have no functional negatives about it. Like my only thing is it looks a bit more Argo than it could have been. But they have very little
profession starter
real
ships.
estate.
More profession starter ships are good.
Yes, more starter ships, more ships that aren't capable at combat is good.
Yeah. Yep.
Which I'm gonna be upset in a couple of weeks anyway, but it's fine.
Please continue, because we've got a ways to go before we can get to the monthly report.
Oh my gosh, I just realized how many things are on here actually. Recommend a new map, Astor's Clearing, which I actually have no idea what this is because I haven't actually looked into it at all. Adding a Stanton settlement on Microtech available in free flight for exploration. Sure, this card has been set to release. I have no idea where this actually is. But the next one's interesting. If you want to,
it's been a while.
Run through these.
Yeah. Arena Commander new map, Crossroads of Crime. About time. Adding the largest Arena Commander map so far, available in multiple game modes: free flight, tank royale, team elimination, single weapon elimination, gun rush, and kill collector. This card has been set to release. I still have yet to check this out. I do want to actually go and do play it in game. I hope that they will add more modes. They still have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They have to do Theaters of War.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's one mode significantly missing from that list.
Yeah, and the the year of content, maybe they can make it happen. I mean, we've got the server meshing,
I
we've
think
got the performance to make it happen.
I think the introduction of the next one actually removes the possibility that they're adding Theaters of War to the game.
Well, the next one is
uh,
in the PU.
Yes.
So I think that there's still very much the potential for Theaters of War scenarios in Arena Commander. But, I don't know. Like, I've always been much more of a Battlefield guy than I have been Call of Duty. And, Arena Commander maps are very Call of Duty. They're not Battlefield. And now we have a Battlefield map without the game mode to support it. So...
Yeah, so you can do it with tanks. I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next one is being sandbox activity, which is important here. A line in mind. An open-ended activity blending on-foot exploration and aerial support. That's not including space. There's space. Creating sandbox gameplay opportunities for... What do you call not aerial? What is aerial in space?
Aerospace? I don't know. Spatial?
I don't think we have a word for it yet because we haven't, like, as a species, had to filter that into scenarios. So this is the Hawthorne mission,
good
basically.
to see you. Yeah,
this is Hawthorne. Yep. The significance of it being a sandbox activity is this is an evergreen activity that now lives in the game. So it's here to stay. It is here. A Light in Mind may be the name of the patch, and it may be the focus, partially. It's split focus with the Hawthorne missions and Wicklow and Riari. But the Hawthorne bases, the lighting of the dish, and them opening the mines, and the getting the goodies inside the mine is a evergreen thing that just sticks there on the planet now that you can go do whenever.
Mm-hmm.
So, cool. Tomato did an excellent video on this and why it's cool. Most of my opinions got a lot better after understanding what this means to be a sandbox activity and why we need so much more, because it is, and I'm just going to completely rip this out of his video, it is the sandbox over the theme park kind of activity. And you don't get to play in a theme park. You get to experience a theme park. You get to play in a sandbox.
Yep, that makes sense.
That last bit, I made up myself.
Mission giver location, Wicklow's Emporium, a specially designed location to host our latest mission giver, Wicklow, offering a new hub for players to engage in these opportunities. This card has been set to released. I'm looking...
As a PSA, because I will say this a lot, whoever calls for landing creates the instance of this Emporium. If you are out and about looking at the shop and whoever called the hangar logs off, the location ceases to exist and you fall through the planet or the asteroid.
Oops.
Caution. Don't do that.
Yep, that's an oversight. One thing I hope for in Wicklow's is that I want to see the things on display change dynamically as more things are added, collectibles and stuff are added to the universe. So
I
from
think that's
one
been
patch
mentioned
to
a couple times.
from one patch to another, hey, now you can go find these things, and you can read the little thing and be like, oh, I want to go find those for myself. That's cool.
Yeah, I really hope that they also do less fake stuff, because there's a lot of fake stuff in the Emporium. They do have all the stuff you can't get, so the Star Citizen toys. I think those are really good to have in the Emporium. just kind of like wave them in front of players' faces. I think those are good because they give an allure to the people who have the Star Citizen trinkets, whatever they're called, the Banu Cube, the pyramid, and the other thing. I think that's good to have because they are supposed to be special. But like, there's a lot of stuff in there that you just can't get. Like most of the stuff in the Emporium, you just can't get. There's a lot of subscriber flare that still doesn't work, so there's no point to have it in the game. Like you cannot spawn it into your hangar. A lot of stuff you can spawn into a hangar doesn't work anyway. The trophy case, I think it is, doesn't work. You try and put something on the shelf and it just falls through.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the plushies or models you cannot pick up nor look at. And I think the Stupid Interactables team that was supposed to be working on Stupid Interactables should be doing their job and finish all the stuff that they already have to do.
There's a lot.
Yeah. I had assumed that that's what they were supposed to be doing back 2 or 3 years ago when they said, hey, the Interactables team is looking at all the props and making them interactable. I assumed that meant they were looking at the props and making them interactable.
Not not the ones that you want.
No, we got weights that can move if an explosion happens. Not that you can pick them up.
There's a whole bunch of environmental stuff, not the things that you own in your hangar, unfortunately, because I have...
Not just me.
Yeah, I have
hundreds of other people have them.
Yeah, I have dozens of pages of those things stacked up in my hangar. Yep.
Yep. All right, now for the annoying one. Mission Giver. A new mission giver, or Wicklow. A new mission giver enters the verse. That's an enter the chat joke. Bringing fresh opportunities to players to explore. This is... I don't want to say a joke because that's kind of really selling it kind of short. But no, he isn't. As we always talked about earlier, the only place you actually see him is when he calls you when you land as an ATC. Otherwise, there's that hologram that's in the hangar, but that's it.
Mm-hmm.
He's not in the Emporium. You don't go to him for missions. And there's nothing that he does that Riari, the other faction that they just added, or Kovalex, or Headhunters, don't do. And they don't have mission givers.
Yeah, I wish he was more interactable.
Yeah. And it's instanced hangar,
right?
And the entire Emporium is instance, which fixes the problem that, like they said, we don't want to have a line at the mission giver. Well, you just created an entire instance scenario where you could put him in the Emporium and everyone gets their own instance of Wicklow.
Yep.
And you didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
You put a Banu, you put your alien in the game, the first Banu we've literally seen anywhere, and you didn't put him in the game. I
am glad
upset, to say the least.
Yeah, I'm glad that there is gameplay associated with it, because I think that the types of contracts that he gives are good for the game. I think the execution of adding a Banu to the game, I agree that is not the way they should have gone about doing it. They could have just waited until they had him ready for us to see in the flesh and interact with.
And I'm
because the RTT version is important, because obviously you should be able to give him a call and get missions from him without being on site.
The only thing I'm saying is that the mission giver Wicklow tile touting everything to do with mission giver should not be in here. He's not in game. You don't talk to him. He does nothing that we don't have elsewhere. We don't have a mission giver. We have a contract faction that is Wicklow. If they just take that out, I have no problem. We don't have the mission giver.
Yep. Heavy Combat Armor Antium, a rugged and stylish new armor set tailored for brave adventurers facing new dangers. This card has been set to release. There is a bug for this
Oh no.
in the current Evocati, where you, if you take the helmet off, and it's like on your belt, you can do the FPS radar scan and ping thing, and it works. Now, obviously, that's not intended, but we are close to getting FPS radar and scanning because it does the
Interesting.
thing.
So, in your professional commentator opinion, I guess,
Yeah.
do you think that it is in the current code base, or do you think it still needs code that is in the dev branch?
Oh, I think that somehow code from the dev branch may have that is associated with that suit made it into the patch and wasn't scrubbed. Because it's a systemic system, so it doesn't necessarily need everything, and it probably doesn't function entirely the way it's supposed to, but it does do some form of function, like it gives you a peek at what it's supposed to be. But I think that they added the armor, they didn't remember to remove the function in the 4.1.1, but there's function attached to the code for that armor set that still works with what we have within the current dev branch. It triggers things that we otherwise cannot trigger, because we don't have the other armor sets that do it. So I think there's stuff that is in our current dev branch, for 4.1, that we otherwise can't interact with, and they inadvertently gave us a way to interact with it that they weren't ready for. But being that it does give some function, I feel like, and we're going to read more about that in the monthly report. I think that we're close. How close, I don't know, but I'm hoping in the next, like I want 4.2, but we shall see.
Yeah, I have a whole theory with that. We'll get into probably during the monthly report.
Yep.
Hawthorne Mining Station, a large-scale mining laser facility formerly operated by the Hawthorne Group. This card has been set to release. This is just the Hawthorne bases, which go with the sandbox activity.
Hathor Ground Alignment Station, strategically placed Hathor-operated outposts, providing key infrastructure and sandbox gameplay opportunities for planetary operations. This card has been set to release.
Formerly Hathor operated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know who screwed that up, but there is no Hawthor faction.
Yeah, they gone.
Which I don't think they're gone on. Isn't Hawthor the Lear people as well?
Oh, I don't remember what the parent company was for that now that I think about it, but they are no longer exist as a company. They did
collapse.
But
Hawthor employees still exist on Lear, or at least the descendants of the people that are.
I'd have to go back and read about that now. I can't remember who that was exactly. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. Last one, and then Progress Checker.
Right. Volt AR Parallax, so just the AR. This is not including the SMG, which is also in the 0.11 patch coming soon. So I don't know why that wasn't also added on here. A powerful new weapon boasting a unique blend of characteristics, firepower, and technical potential. This card has been set to release. I haven't found one yet. I want a blue one. I don't want one of Wicklow's ones. They look like crap. I don't like his guns.
Yeah, I haven't even seen it used outside of the videos yet, so I'm interested to check it out. But they can be hard to come by. Progress Tracker, we've made an addition, one. To the progress tracker, which you can review below. Just a reminder, when progress on a deliverable is marked as complete, it doesn't necessarily mean it's ready for release. It may still require downstream support, transition to another team for further work, or other additional steps before completion. Core gameplay pillar, space combat missions. A new set of which we read about above. A new set of ship combat missions featuring improved scenario design and refined storytelling. I am hopeful. I'm going to remain cautiously optimistic that we will be getting. This is the hey, we are finally getting around to adding more things to the progress tracker below. This is the first, or to the progress tracker. This is the first one. We're making sure it works. We're reiterating this stuff, leading to more additions, but we shall see in the coming weeks and months. And that is it for the Roadmap Roundup for April 9th, 2025. And let's go ahead. I'm going to switch screens real quick. That way I give myself a nice little break for editing this later.
It was not Hathor. It was Hatfield and Harding.
Started with an H. Close enough, right? Yeah. All right. Close that tab.
I wish there was somebody who did something about Star Citizen that I could actually use the ability I have to just go find the answer. Like, I really wish I could. Like, I've tried doing like live research streams. Like, I just don't pull enough people.
Yeah,
I want to like ask questions like, "Where's this thing?"
It's hard because it's a niche that a lot of obviously like that's kind of our thing, but it's a niche and it's hard to get the draw for it. All right, switching back for the monthly report.
Like, I'd have to do like Paul and do like office hours and do it relatively frequently.
I will say for Wicklow's Emporium, the way they laid things out and the way it's lit, I think this feels, it's obviously not Banu constructed, the facility, but the way that it's decorated, this feels Banu.
Yeah,
and I appreciate the work that the lighting team did.
Yeah, it feels to me like this is, hi, I just moved in, dropped all my stuff. I'll get around to remodeling in a minute.
Yeah, this was an existing facility that I bought on an auction for cheap. And now I have all my Banu tapestries and carpets laid out with my stuff. Behold my stuff. You know
what I want them to do? I want them to eventually graduate not just to Emporiums, because I think these are going to be good and these will be around the universe as kind of like drop points for a bunch of just random crap like the missions we have. Again, love the missions. They need to be in the game. They're a missing feature ever since we got harvestables in the game. Love the missions. No problem with them. Just have a problem with the mission giver being called mission giver. But what I want them to do is, in addition to the Wicklow, go here, get things, mission Moby-Glass crap, give Wicklow a BMM and have the mission giver on a BMM that moves. You need to go find Wicklow and his BMM and talk to the mission giver on his ship.
Yep. Yeah, it's essentially it's a dynamic event when he arrives in your system, and
yes,
yeah, yep. You're on the mailing list. He puts out a page and says, "Hey, I'm in the
in the system,
Genesis system, and I will be landing here. Come visit my bazaar, blah blah blah. And I will be here for this amount of time. And you can get missions to go bring fetch things, bring things. You may have already taken a mission. You have to rendezvous with him. Yeah.
I think in the Moby-Glass there should be a local news section, and it doesn't like show up as a toast. The things that show up in the middle top of the screen are called toasts. It doesn't show up as a toast or a video call when you spawn in, like all the Dooley stuff did during Xenothreat. It should be you go to the news section when you wake up and you get out of bed. You open your Moby-Glass, go to the news section, and you're like, oh hey, Wicklow's in town. to go and see Wicklow. Instead of like, Wicklow's in town, you need to go see him. There's stuff that will disappear in like 3 minutes. The game needs to stop that. There should not be. We are holding this event that terrorists are attacking the system on the website. Dynamic things need to be dynamic in the game. Stop telling people that they're here. They shouldn't be special like that. They should be the game just existing.
Yep. And as we get more systems and locations and stuff, I think that will happen. Because they don't have to make such a big deal. Because if they did that, you wouldn't be able to keep up with everything. Because there's so many different things going on at once. Hey, Macton, good to see you. Thanks for coming up and saying hi. Yeah, missing the diegetic part for sure. And then who else just showed? Mr. Stunner, good to see you. Thanks for coming out. Or Mount Stunner, pardon. All right, whoops, sorry. I have my new mouse. I got a Logitech G502X, and I'm still getting used.
I don't have the X version. You like the flywheel?
I do. It takes a little getting used to because it will move.
So how is the X different? So this is the one I have.
There's no lights. But
there's no light on it. Okay, so X is for stealthy. Oh, that's much more businessy looking than mine. All right.
It's got the DPI button on the side. It's got, and then 2 different buttons here, 2 different buttons up here. It's got the flywheel switch plus a button right behind it. But I honestly I can't remember what the difference between the Hero and the X, except for the X is normally a little bit more expensive, but I picked it because it's normally a little bit more expensive, but it was on sale cheaper than the Hero. So.
Nice.
That was
I just have the G502 Lightspeed, which is Lightspeed is just their word for wireless, because they have their own like protocol for the connector, which still doesn't work behind the screen. So my main screen's in front of me here, my secondary is here, and my computer's behind that. So I had just the hookup, the USB dongle in the back of the computer, and it would just drop randomly. So now it's under my wooden desk, and it works fine. But through the monitors, it would not work.
Speaking of
hilarious
of desk, so I for several years now, I think 3 going on 4, I have an uplift powered desk. And it's a L-shaped desk with a return on the right over here on my right-hand side. And I had bought this because I used to have a dual PC streaming setup. And now I don't, just because I just
life too hectic, need to simplify.
Life too hectic, and I dual PC is really for, if you're really hardcore and need the performance, or like if your main PC just isn't that beefy, and I always have a beefy main PC, like I'm obsessive compulsive about it. And so I don't need that little 3% of overhead that, streaming takes away from you, if that. And so I couldn't justify having it. And like in my office at my old house, I had an entire upstairs family room that I was in the corner of. So I have plenty of space behind and around me. And now I have, essentially a small den in here, and this big old return on the right that I don't use. And it's just an excuse for me to put clutter on. It takes up a ton of space, and I can't get farther over into the room and closer to my soundproofing. And so I'm selling this desk. It just arrived, but I got a new Secret Labs standing desk, powered standing desk, and with all the accoutrement. And so next Monday, movers are coming. They're packing up almost all of our stuff, our entire, not all of our stuff, but like everything that's out in the rooms, because we're finally having our flooring replaced from the flooding damage from a toilet backing up in the upstairs. So, yeah, well, it ruined the carpet in a couple of the rooms upstairs, and it went through the floor, in through the ceiling, down the wall, and ruined some of the subflooring and flooring in our laundry room and just barely crossed the threshold from the laundry room into the dining room and kitchen area. And because the flooring is all contiguous through there, the insurance was replacing the flooring in our entire house except for the master suite. So new laminate throughout the downstairs and new carpet throughout the upstairs. But in order to do that, they have to move all of our crap out. And so we're living in an Airbnb for 10 days starting next Monday.
Oof.
Yeah. And so, but because insurance is covering everything, they cover the people who come and pack up all the furniture and move it out into storage while they do all the work. And so they're going to take my desk out, and then, I won't bring it. I'll just leave it in the garage and I'll sell it from there, and I'll bring the new one in and build it and put it together. But I'll have a lot more room. So I'm looking forward to doing that, and then rewiring everything and setting everything up a little bit more organized. And I got a new monitor mount that came with the package deal. So it's going to be a little bit more intuitive and organized, and I'll have more space. So I'm looking forward to that. But I'll take pictures once it's up and running. But that's why I wanted to get
Take it before. Make sure to take it before.
before and after.
Take the before.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But that's why I
so
wanted
actually,
hopefully get another episode in.
For is a stream PC, dual purpose. It is my station away. I call it my satellite.
And when I get
and also the stream PC.
Eventually, when I get a new laptop, because my laptop that I have right now is very bare bones, just for a little bit of travel work, and it doesn't. I can't use my HD 60X. I can put video out to it, but I can't run the audio through it because it gets distorted going into my laptop, and I don't know why. And I was able to fix it, and that's why I had a second. That's why I had another PC, and it was dual PC streaming, and So eventually, if I get a new laptop, I'll make sure that I don't have any issues, and I'll have, and then I can still do that. But I got new monitor mounts, and so for my birthday in May, I'm going to get another monitor, and so that way I can have 3 screens, and I'll have, when I'm gaming, I'll be able to have. Really, the third screen is just to have my keybinds up on it because I can't remember.
Nice. Yeah, I actually figured out when I was on vacation that my little laptop can actually play Star Citizen, so I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
So
I play isometric.
Most I will ask of that thing is to play Star Citizen.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get into the monthly report. Yes, do your thing.
Desk tangent over.
Hey, Cindy Sanderson, good evening. Thanks for coming and saying hi.
All right. Monthly report. PU monthly report, March 2025. We don't have Squadron report for a while, right?
Nope, just the, what are they calling them now? I've done the monthly report. Yeah, it's the Squadron 42 newsletter, and the last one was just the Vanduul language.
Yeah. Let's see. March 2025. This month's PU monthly report. Monthly report features progress on a variety of ongoing development initiatives, including the recently released 4.1, upcoming vehicles, AI work, not LLMs, for those who don't know, just not GPT AI, video game AI, as in scripted actions, and mission content read-on for the latest updates. Even though there is a team called AI Game Intelligent Development, it is not LLMs. I don't know why I have feel the need to always state that very heavily. This is not the internet's version of AI. This is still the video game version of AI, as in scripted things.
Yep. All right. So starting out, we have AI content for the recent debut. Am I saying that? Oh my God.
Debut.
Am I having a stroke?
Yeah, no, debut is fine.
Debut, yeah. Right. For the recent debut of Star Citizen's first alien NPC. He doesn't walk around. There's no animations other than his face. I do like the way they voice acted him. I think that is brand new.
Yep. But in this sentence, I'm okay with it because it says Star Citizen's first alien NPC. This is correct. Because he is in the game. He does have voice lines in this way, much like Dooley would. Or the Xenothreat Leader guy did. Never saw him. He is not a mission giver. Neither of these people are mission givers. but he is an NPC in the game.
Yep.
Like the ATC as well. So,
Yeah.
in that sentence, I'm fine with it.
Wicklow, for Star Citizen's first alien NPC, Wicklow, AI content worked alongside the narrative design, animation, audio, and character art teams to prototype the character's general and air traffic control behaviors. The team also took a more active role in prepping incoming audio and animation files from recent capture sessions. Development continued on new behaviors to support some of the story developments happening in the verse in the coming months. Finally, for AI, they revisited issues in the population behaviors of existing landing zones. It's because people got Blizzard says it's because people got massive erections over CIG signing a contract with 11 Labs with no additional context. Ermiger and
11
AI.
Labs.
Um,
11 Labs is an AI audio research and development company. Our research team develops AI model. Ooh, jeez. Okay. Apparently, when you hit more detail, it's got a completely different description. Audio research and development company. Our team researches and develops AI audio models for generic, realistic, versatile, and contextually aware speech. This is what I've been saying they need to do. It's perfect. Our product team makes models accessible for everyday users, presumably prosumers and business models. Create localized content. Our technology is used for audiobooks and news articles. That's a terrible way to use that. There's actors for that. Animate video game characters. And help films in pre-production. That's kind of helpful to get rough estimates before actors are brought on and paid for. Animate localized processes and entertainment. Create dynamic audio content. This is where I went for. And media advertising also need to train medical professionals. What the heck is that for?
that I don't
it
know.
also given back. It has also given back voices to those who have lost them and help individuals with accessibility needs. I don't know how long I've been saying that they need to have some system to automate population voices.
Yep.
So that they can talk.
Well, they've been talking about that for a long time, where they.
Well, they've been talking about their new system for a couple of years now.
But it's they talk that you will hear NPCs having conversations based off of events. And that's what generates what their conversations are based out of.
But every conversation they have, as far as I'm aware, has to be done in a booth with actors.
Yeah. It's not. It's
this
not
system, at least from what I read here, could alleviate that problem.
Mm-hmm.
They could contextually generate voices on demand.
Yep.
And have NPCs, not mission givers, because those need to be professionally done, but basic NPCs that are just milling about, and bad guys, and like goons and stuff. This would be great for like contextualize that.
Mm-hmm.
Have absolutely dynamic, like react to things up to the minute with new lines. I bet this is all for localization. It could be. They could be using it for a little as much. We shall have to see. We shall have to see indeed.
I mean, we know that they have been working. They have wanted that for a long time, and I could definitely that fits. This fits the description for doing those conversations. The NPC ambiance, where it isn't just the walla of the that you have from other games. They want actual conversations.
And localization.
And this does that, but they can also use it for localization. So
localizing like all the lines in Star Citizen, maybe I can see that. But localizing Squadron, no. A production on the level of Squadron is going to be professionally hand, mouth, whatever it is, redone.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way they're going to let an AI redub over the actors like without specific Chris being in the room like giving like okays on these performances. It is too big, too much of a reputational thing. Like it has to be correct. It is a theatrical experience.
Yeah.
In video game
Blizzard
form.
says doing it on demand will be computational. Yeah, I'm not talking about like you generating it locally based off of inputs that you receive from the server. I'm saying it would, like they wouldn't have to do a recording session for everything. The events could be happening, and then that audio could be the audio that's generated could be part of the streaming service. That says these the lines that are going out at any given time to players' PCs. And they get triggered based off where you are, and when
And they could
NPCs
also
are around
like
you.
have the whatever AI generate or put in the lines for the AI to generate and then push them out with the patches.
Mm-hmm.
And it just needing not to do that in a booth. Dark reality, I assume you misworded that slightly because it says actors would work with CIG if they use AI for any voice acting. I assume that's a weren't, but also they would still.
Yeah, the
You just have to
CIG
give
isn't
them
going to use
like
this for everything. They would just use it for the background NPCs, not the actual characters that you interact with. The mission givers, the ones that are important. They're not going to use this for like all of Squadron is acted.
Yeah, there will always be people who boycott any sort of anything because reasons, and they have every right to. It's their opinions. It far depends for me how they use it and how it's made. If they are just using it to not hire people, then yes, that's bad to me. That you could have a slightly better, more feeling, like a performance that feels better. To just have somebody like even in the office, what they've done before, they've had people in the office do voice lines. A lot better if they're just trying to do that. But for every city in the game, over a dozen or so cities with hundreds of people, NPCs in them, that is a infinite task. Yeah. Literally infinite task. With infinite money that they would need to spend on voices. It is not just not paying people, it is a way to actually achieve the goal of the citizens talking about what's going on.
Yeah, it would be either you have NPCs just doing rah, 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 like you have in lots of games where they don't pay for voice actors at all. They'll either not pay for voice actors and just give you rah, 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 or they won't pay for voice actors and just give the NPCs who aren't named, they're not named, they don't have a function, you don't get missions from them, you don't interact from them, they're just in the background. It's just to make the background realistic. And I don't,
if what you're
I think that's an extreme take to say that the Actors Guilds would boycott them and the unions would be pissed off. No, they wouldn't. With the amount of money that CIG spends on actual paid actors,
if what you're surmising is if what you're surmising is true, then any work with this company would blacklist them because they are an AI audio company, an AI voice company, and they will use it in some function. So they are going to be blacklisted either way, if what you're saying is true.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, the CIG has spent so much money on actual actors doing voice acting and doing, having their faces and their movements recorded and stuff like that. It far and away beyond what the actual and
they've only done one game so far. They have 2 confirmed more games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is just in order to make the background chatter more realistic and not just and more mumble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Naz, on to you for North End Trooper AI features.
I'm reading North End Trooper comments now.
Yes.
Wonder how much they paid for the. Naz reads chat is what we're doing now. All right.
Mhm.
AI features. In March, AI features priority was the valid car, specifically the juvenile variant. As part of the polishing phase, new functionality was added to support upcoming gameplay, including replacing inefficient melee attacks with a submerge and relocate behavior when the player gets close. New burrowing models were also added that allow the creature to submerge on the spot rather than dive into a new position. So just down instead of dolphining into a different spot. New firing modes were added. New firing modes were added to give better control over fire rates and damage per shot, depending on whether the target is on the ground or in the air. Bespoke firing animation variants were also added when firing at more vertical angles. Not for Valakar. I don't think for Valakar. It's a separate paragraph.
The Valakar are sprouting arms and they're picking up
Well,
weapons
the
from corpses.
Apex one does shoot.
Yeah, they spit. Yep.
Yeah. So, video game terms. I don't know if the juveniles have a projectile one. I don't think they do.
If they did, I didn't see it, or I wasn't sure that I got. When they appeared, they were surrounding me, and they didn't need to spit because they could just put their mouths on my head and take a bite.
Don't take that out of context.
Jeez. Go to your room, Naz. Go to your room.
I'm in my. What do you think?
Go further to your room.
Just back up a bit. The team also iterated on the Copion, integrating new chase technology for more efficient attacks. Great, including a leap. So, little side story. Yeah, I was actually when I was doing one of the first Wicklow mission. I was just landing my ship and then shooting out my back ramp. It worked great. Until for whatever reason they jumped onto the door because they couldn't pass onto the door. But I was right off the door, so they lunged at me, and I backed up, and they landed on top of the door, and so then they could pass into my ship.
Oh no!
That lunge is very important.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Danger Hobo says he has been range attacked by the little ones.
All right, they also have a range attack. Very cool. I think they do 10% whether I was in light or heavy. That's weird. So they're more dangerous if you're in heavy armor. Technically. You said into this room, you'll have to read for human combat, interesting that they have new fire modes, Copions, and then human.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's just kind of misphased. I don't think the modes were for Valakar, though. I don't think so. I think it was an aside. Anyway, for human combat, iteration continued on the first reaction flow escalation, specifically focusing on the animation setup for usables so that it works well if the AI is sitting in a chair. They don't really sit in chairs, they stand on them. Leaning on a railing or crouching to inspect a maintenance panel. The team also progressed with reaction animations for the AI detects compromised cover. This allows NPCs to appear more responsive to the actions of the player and react appropriately to new threats, aka you just took down their cover. Instead of just sitting there, they now have a check for it.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, the team is refactoring the response to combat tactic events, such as needing to reload. This is now done within the tactic behavior itself, rather than at a higher level, which allows more customization depending on the current situation and the intelligence of the NPCs and the different traits they have, leading to a better and more responsive behavior. Dun, 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 very nice.
All right. AI Game Intelligence Development Team. In March, Game Intelligence Development had two main focuses: the full implementation of views and organization and analysis for Mission System 2.0. For views, feature-related tasks are now functional in StarScript, including representation in the script graph. The team also included the new input and output visuals, which makes them more distinctive. while information on the task number was added. An update was also made to the master graph to integrate views into the various functional connected states. This is still a work in progress, with internal testing beginning soon. For the mission system, the devs continue to explore ways to build a system that will be more efficient and simpler for the game designers to use. So essentially, they are continuing to develop the tools for building missions within the framework of the new mission system. So they have refactored the mission system and the way it works, but they, along with that, they also have to refactor how they build the missions. And so they are, working on those tools in order to make the new tools have the same functionality and better, more expanded functionality from what they had before. So give Elliot more tools, he make more missions, everybody wins.
My camera's getting slightly worse because my eyes are getting pierced out by the light, and I'm getting migraine. So we're not going to do that.
No migraines. Don't do that.
Yeah, it's on its way. So, all right. Also, does that mean they're not currently using 2.0?
No, I think it's the system is in, and they are continuing to add and iterate to it to give it more functionality, make it more user friendly.
AI Tech. Last month, AI Tech continued to work on features that improved overall detail and quality, including finalizing work for the spatial priority solver and priority beacon system. They also integrated these features into the navigation, Pathfinder, and technical point system to help better prioritize and solve requests sent by the NPCs close to players. Regarding tools, the work was completed on StarScript views to allow the designers to group behavior functions, and callback logic. Following this, work began on visualization improvements to the subsumption master graph. Additional adjustments were made to AI ship logic to enable it to work correctly with the new flight modes. We also have now space combat stuff, so makes sense. The team is currently working on NPC cover generation, optimization places where cover will be generated, allowing it to be marked with various flags for better context during combat scenarios. For navigation system, devs fixed various bugs, including issues with tile triangulation generation cases, and an object container export case related to the navigation data. They're currently progressing with improvements to 3D navigation for spaceships and NPCs in EVA.
That's the big part that they keep on talking about is for this system is NPCs in EVA.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see NPCs navigating an EVA in the game.
It is also a core need for Squadron.
Yeah. And they can fake it in Squadron, and I imagine they have in certain instances. But there's so many environments in SC where we have EVA, or we could have EVA and we don't, or there's, okay, sweet, it's interesting for us, but there's no gameplay other than traversing it. And having NPCs doing EVA can bring a whole lot of life to a lot of environments that, and make things more dynamic. Because I mean, there are meant to be, like when they originally talked about space, the derelict space stations and asteroid facilities in Pyro, there were meant to be sections that had no gravity. When they were showing the development of them, they showed that like certain rooms, you could either the gravity would be turned off and you could turn it back on, and vice versa, or it would be disabled altogether. In order to get to the next room, you'd have to traverse it via EVA. So all that with NPCs being able to navigate those environments and work in those environments, that's really cool. That would make those environments really interesting, and it could be because it could be applied to any situation. It's a derelict ship, and NPCs are EVAing through it. You're not just your derelict locations like space stations and asteroid facilities. So, that to me is a gameplay implication that could be a lot of fun and make things really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I will be very happy when the entire suite of spaces, so you have ground, space, ground, spaceship, and then transitions and EVA are all done.
Mm-hmm.
And NPCs can go wherever they need to go to do whatever they need to do. They can go on trains, they can go in elevators, they can go on a ship, and finally,
Climb
day
ladders.
long wait, we can do the taxi missions.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get the Genesis Starliner, and everyone wins. And then the B&M people go cry in the corner, and the world is at peace.
Animation. The animation team continued developing various sizes of Valacar, alongside making updates to the Copion. They also updated AI background animations and added disabled animations to the Argo Atlas. New AI facial animation content was completed too, including for the Benu mission giver Wickalow. Poor Beamers.
All right, art characters.
Nope.
The next one, you get the really fun one. The fun one's next. All right. Art characters, though. In March, the character art team continued to work for a new creature for the P alongside Starware Art's debt. So Starware is done. And now they're working on the debt, aka all the crap that's already in the game, because everything needs to now be updated. For those who want like a what does this mean as soon as possible, it means when they're done doing all their tech debt or art debt, not tech debt, we can do jackets and armor or holsters on clothing and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That is the most immediate thing that will come out.
Yep.
Combining armor and clothes. I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait for that. That's just so cool. They also kicked off. Also, that's the start of like the profession armor and stuff. What's it called? Traits to armor. They also kicked off a new heavy armor and continued creating various rewards. I imagine that is the new armor set that we talked about in the update and the various armors for Wicklow.
Mm-hmm.
The concept team also explored ideas for new in-game rewards and armors. That could be literally any number of things, but also from different in-game people's factions. So, Grey Cat, nice things.
Yeah, faction-specific stuff.
Branded, a Shubin branded armor.
Yeah, the expansion to the reward system, not just giving you money and your reputation, which reputation still doesn't mean a whole lot other than progression in missions.
Better higher paid ones. Yeah.
But
they really need to get back to at least telling us where that next step is, because it was supposedly coming soon and then it just disappeared.
Mm-hmm. But having non-monetary rewards is a great step for the game. Being able to earn things rather than just, I'm going to go do this mission, and hope that it drops in a loot box for 5 hours. All right. Ship art. In March, the UK based vehicle content team completed the Drake Golem mining ship and Argo Atlas Geo mining power suit. The MISC Starlancer TAC moved into the final development phase. That's coming for Invictus. I would be willing to bet final development phase. While the consolidated Outland Pioneer progressed through White Box, benefiting from the additional concept work shown during a recent episode of Star Citizen Live. That was interesting to watch. I enjoyed seeing them talk about that. An unannounced vehicle successfully passed Gray Box review and moved into the Lot Zero phase, and now it's moving into final art as of the beginning of as of March. 2 other vehicles received a bug fixing pass and final content work ahead of their release, and so those are Invictus launch week most likely. And another new and another new ship is currently being prepared for its gray box gate review. The North America-based team progressed with 2 upcoming RSI ships. The first, the Apollo. Hey, Richter Scale just raided with a party of 3. Thanks so much for the raid, Richter Scale. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us and coming and saying hi.
Hello, everyone.
We are working our way through the March monthly report for Star Citizen. We were covering the Roadmap Roundup from April 9th. So thanks for coming and saying hi. Hope you had a good stream. Where was I? Oh, yeah, Naz is counting. I thought you were like, what do we do with
Yes.
those? Yeah, the Apollo, which successfully passed its white box review gate and moved into gray box. So they didn't stop after white box. It passed its white box and is continuing development into gray box. Hopefully, I am hopeful this means that it is continuing production and they intend for it to release this year. If it's in gray box as of March, I think to me that says CitizenCon / IAE. But I will echo Space Tomato's sentiment in that if the Apollo releases without any additions to medical gameplay, I will have a stroke. I will not be happy. I will be very upset if because it's one thing. We got the C8R, we got the NERSA, which are just tier 3
Don't
beds.
you know, Tree?
We got
Respawn was always the plan.
Oh God damn it. We got the Terrapin Medic is a tier 2 bed and everything, but the Apollo is the first ship meant to be able to have tier 1 beds that we will have. Not the Carrack has always been meant to have a tier 2 bed. The 890 Jump, tier 2 bed. The Polaris has tier 2 beds. There are very few ships that are intended to have a tier 1 bed. And so if the Apollo releases with tier 1 beds and all it is more of the same, I'm going to be upset. And I would rather the ship wait until we have medical gameplay and more healing gameplay than release and just be like, oh, okay, well, this is what we have, and eventually
Another respawn bed.
And I totally get the whole RSI thing, but I appreciate them being able to use the kit and stuff, but you know what? Yeah.
I could finish so I can stop counting.
Sorry. But it passed its white box review gate and moved into gray box with support from the concept team on the medical room design. I hope that they show this off during its development. I can't wait to see, because this is a 2018 concept. It is 7 years old. So I'm looking forward to seeing updates to the room design and what their thoughts are behind it. The other bit about this is, where are we with drones?
Yep.
Is it going to release without its Shepherd drones?
There's also leaks about that.
Yeah. Yes. So we shall see. Some aspects progress significantly due to utilization of the extensive RSI kit created for the Zeus and Polaris. So that I also would like to see them, if they do it on ISC or something like that, I would love to see them document that process. Be like, hey, this is where we are already because of, proof in the pudding. I think that they should show that.
Yep.
The second, the RSI Perseus, passed its white box review at the start of March. Like the Apollo, some areas progressed visually thanks to the RSI kit. So I would love for them to highlight that and to show us what things are in the kit that are sort of universal and being reused and stuff. I think that's kind of cool to think about. I think it would be worthwhile to show off. Work continued on 3 unannounced vehicles. So, and they say 3 unannounced vehicles too. And this is for the NA team, but we also have the unannounced vehicles from the UK team. A variant of a popular ship passed gray box review. So the one's a ship. Another variant is approaching gray box review. That kind of hints at a variant of another ship. While an all new model entered production in preparation for its white box review in early April. So, 2 variants and an all new model. So lots of unannounced work, lots of announced work. Seemingly a good amount of stuff coming for Invictus launch week, or in the near future after that. So what's
Currently,
the count, Naz?
The tally is 13 ships and vehicles.
Whew.
And I don't know if I don't think I miscounted here because I've kept up with it. Last time I heard somebody say a count, there was 11. Maybe they were talking about unreleased, 11 unreleased, because we have the Geo and TAC. Or not the TAC, we have the Geo and Golem. So 11 unreleased stuff, 13 ships during the course of this month's report. Oh boy.
A lot of ship production.
Ship teams are firing on all cylinders plus one.
Yeah, and there's a lot of leaks regarding some of these. So if you're interested in that,
specifically
that
a
stuff is in the
four-wheeled one
Discord.
with drones.
Yeah.
Which I am highly skeptical because we weren't supposed to see that this year, really. Or at least everyone else is saying we're not going to see this year. But it has showed up in an interesting spot, and it could have been a mistake, but I'm really, really hoping it wasn't, because basically after this year, my life gets very busy in one way or another. And I won't have a lot of time for Star Citizen, especially running an org. So I need crafting and base building this year, or basically I don't get anything. Oh boy. Oh, hey, I get community this. I never get community.
I know, right? Weird.
That means you're going to get gameplay, aren't you? You are! Welcome to a new edition.
Tree reads
a new
the long
show,
one.
even. We have swapped this completely. Tree now reads the long ones.
Mm-hmm.
We have to change the whole name of the entire show now.
Yep. It's all new.
Oh. New year, new season, new show. Tree reads the long ones. All right. Community. Think we have all the ships I'm going to get shipped out. Yeah. It's all a load of ships. The community team kicked off March with the support of Stellar Fortuna, which was very subtle this year. There wasn't a whole bunch of fanfare for Stellar Fortuna this year.
Mm-hmm.
Launched the bar crawl screenshot contest. There we go. Paul's favorite screenshot contest. Because he hosts them literally once a month. And publishing a catch-all post highlighting the extensive activities available to players. The first image by Ricky Tickley? No, there's no L.
Ricky Ticky.
Tickley? Ticky? Oh, okay. I can't say it without an L, apparently. I assume for the board contest. For Alpha 4.1, the team published a detailed catch-all post QA for the Golem and Argo Geo, a patch watch highlighting upcoming features and fixes not included on the roadmap. The team spent time with our development in Montreal to help developers in Montreal to help detail out the upcoming referral revamp, which details have not been out yet, so we have no idea what they were talking about. Which aims to include better rewards more frequently. The team also continued mapping out event-related plans for this year, including supporting the Bar Citizen World Tour and upcoming internal Bar Citizen weekends. I don't know if they mentioned it here. They're not going to mention it here. So also CitizenCon being digital this year is another thing they've outlined. I think I'll wait and we'll comment on that later. Evergreen tasks continue throughout the month, including the regular publications like the weekly This Week in Star Citizen, which has been very slim as of late. Bi-weekly roadmap updates, again, very slim as of this year. And roadmap roundups, those have been keeping up to date. Mostly with stuff that's just published in a patch. And monthly refreshes of the Arena Commander schedule, which are very nice. Though I don't know the last one I've read. I don't know who reads them. If any of you read them, I'd love to know. The team maintained their commitment to capturing player feedback directly, channeling community insights to the developer team. They've done a decent job at that. Our second image is by Andrew MI66, which is it's beautiful. Motion blur and two little orange ships just having a ball. Also, Pro GP, was it multi-class pro racing?
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Additionally, the community team supported and celebrated the 10th anniversary of the Crux Cup, organized by Anzia? ANZIA, I don't know how to pronounce the name properly, Racing. They're currently preparing for the upcoming community meetup throughout the 2025 Star Citizen World Tour. Lastly, they launched the Squadron 42's newsletter Vandal Interpreter contest, offering another opportunity for the community to dive deeper into Squadron 42, which participants coming up are competing for a chance to win a rare Vandal scythe. Very cool, everything. So, while we're here talking about community and events...
Yay, community.
Yes, while we're here talking about community and events, CitizenCon being digital. Thoughts?
I think that it makes perfect sense given the focus this year. When I say the focus is on getting Squadron ready and getting Star Citizen up to speed, up to the same place that Squadron is. I think taking time away from the developers to put together the presentations and work on that kind of stuff that they would be showing off normally would could negatively impact the timeline. Because
that makes sense.
I think they gave themselves enough margin to get Squadron ready, but I think that they are more under the gun with getting Star Citizen to feature parity with Squadron, and Star Citizen getting Star Citizen into a playability and stability place where they absolutely have to have Star Citizen in a good spot, and it needs to be the same gameplay experience as Squadron when Squadron releases. You can't have players play Squadron.
And Squadron needs to come out in a 95 bugless game.
Yeah, Squadron needs to be A, super polished, and then B, they can't have you interacting with and using a feature in Squadron and then have the old version or have that not be available or not in Star Citizen. You can't have different gameplay experiences between the two games when Squadron releases. People have to be able to complete Squadron and then hop in, and be like, oh wow, there's a multiplayer MMO of this. I definitely want to play that, and go play that and have it be obviously people are going to expect networking, server related bugs with an MMO. That shit happens, but
and it's still gonna be an alpha when Squadron releases.
Yeah, but the gameplay experience needs to be the same, and it needs to be, like they said, the focus of this year is on stability and content, and that isn't just because they want Star Citizen to be stable. It's because they need it to be stable when Squadron releases. They can't have it be, Star Citizen be in a bad spot when Squadron releases and have everybody play Squadron and then pick up Star Citizen for all of 2 or 3 hours and be like, this is fucking garbage, and then leave. They need a high conversion rate, or they want a high conversion rate.
If their goal is to only meet Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, then that's a lower bar than I thought they need to hit. I've heard on release day that was not exactly a very performant nor bug fixed game.
Well, I mean, the first one wasn't either. You know, a
no,
great
I know.
game.
Like both of their day ones were not great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
6 months later, amazing. Day ones were not great.
Yeah. That's you look past the bugs and glitches and performance for the fact that the content of the game is so phenomenal.
Yeah, and not only does like feature parity mean that people from that play Squadron, which will be a bigger game than Star Citizen. Like, there's no question about that. The only question is Star Citizen has grown so weirdly fast in the past couple of years, but a linear game sells better. They just do. They just do. So Squadron should sell way better than Star Citizen has. Plus, the amount of accounts that are in Star Citizen are inflated because they count an account, and they never uncount it, even if the player hasn't played in 5 years. So I've heard differently. Anyway, it's fine. If it was great, it's fine. But also, having the feature parity lets them test out the things in the Squadron to make sure they are also working as intended before the game comes out. Because, there's always going to be a day one patch, because day one patches are the best thing ever invented for games. Because it lets them produce the game, get it on a disc, sell it at Walmart or GameStop or whatever, and then keep working on it. So it gives them a little more development time to find all the critical ones, and then to give you an even better playing experience, potentially, when you get home to actually play it. Yes, it does mean that you buy a game and then have to install things. Still, more development time is better development time. Was Squadron 42 always online, DRM? It's been so long, I can't remember. It shouldn't be online. But the current industry is very much logs into the game. And I don't know, do you have to log into the launcher for anything to show up? Because I'm pretty sure it's going to be through the launcher itself. Like, you're going to install the Star Citizen launcher. And if you don't have a Star Citizen account, I'm sure it will, like, pester you to also buy Star Citizen. Because, like, it's called marketing. So, I'm pretty sure it's going to be through the Star Citizen launcher or the, what's it called? RSI launcher.
Yeah.
So, probably will also have to log in. There is an offline mode in the Star Citizen launcher, so maybe you can force it into to do that. Like, that makes sense, especially for their like core base being older vets. They hate that kind of thing. Like, I know at least, well, all the older vets I know hate always online login for game stuff. So, also, one of them is my grandfather on my dad's side, and he doesn't even have high-speed internet, so he can't play games that need an internet connection. So,
core gameplay, the long one.
do you want to break this up at all, or do you want to just go?
I'll be all right. You have read the long ones for as long as we've been doing this, so.
All right, then I'm gonna go get some.
Remember when we had the engine?
I miss the engine. Like, we haven't had.
And you always
We have
had
R&D,
to
but
read
that's
the
not the
engine?
same. Not the same.
Yeah, it's not.
Do I get
Nostalgia.
graphics? I don't get graphics either.
I mean, if you want to swap, you can.
If you want to do 2 in a row, you can do.
I'll do economy, and you can do graphics. How about that?
Okay.
Go get your water.
We just need like pick and choose what we do from now. They're gonna screw us all over.
We're gonna have to do like dice rolls and stuff.
Yep.
Core gameplay for the Argo Atlas Geo. The core gameplay team completed the suit's mining and thruster functionality, added a health bar and damage states, and supported additional improvements to the base Atlas. They also implemented the first version of the weapon overheat mechanic to the Volt Parallax energy rifle. which enables the player to engage a secondary fire mode at the risk of overheating. More weapons will gain the overheat mechanic in the future. And I'm sure we'll see it in ship weapons or vehicle weapons as well. Pardon me. Progress was made on engineering gameplay throughout March. And March and February, like they're still working on it. So the whole no features in 2025 thing is a bunch of crap. With core gameplay supporting various teams with resource network issues and bugs. So it's not so much they are having to, like the bulk of resource network and engineering is developed. It's they are bug fixing, they are optimizing, they are tuning things to get it where they want for release. They also added auto throttling, which reverts to a lower or powered off state if an item doesn't have power during an update. So during an update, in terms of like the system like does a ping throughout its system and to say, okay, I'm receiving power, I'm receiving the resources I need, I have these components or subcomponents and everything like that. It basically will it's saying that like if it loses power and go do that whole deal. Changes were made to vehicle coolant. Now, effectiveness is based on an item's physical properties, with a specific amount of coolant counteracting heating caused by an equal amount of power. Coolant consumption uses deltas with a dynamic override. The maximum coolant request is based on the maximum power consumption multiplied by a resource network global parameter. So I'm going to read the next one and then we're going to talk about this because this is super important. The team also made progress toward implementing heat gameplay for ship thrusters. This involved adding filters to the engineering UI to allow players to only see items of a particular category. For example, all weapons or all items with malfunctions. So, first things first, coolant and power and heat. Okay, good. You're back. So we're going over the coolant and the coolant versus power and heat thing, as well as heat gameplay for ship thrusters. So this is super important. So one thing that I have heard from people who are all about crafting and wanting to get their tier 5 ship, especially in relation to, this is important in relation to what was said back in November during IAE regarding the whole master modes change.
Which is funny because I can't wait to craft and I couldn't care less about a tier 5 ship.
Yeah. But I saw people come out of those conversations with John Crew and Richard Tyrer hearing that, oh, okay, I'm going to be able to craft this and that in order to be able to fly how I used to fly before master modes. And that's
you can't craft away master modes.
Well, it's not master modes anymore. It's what do they call them? Operator modes, essentially.
Modes?
Yeah. Oh. But it's the issue is people think that, oh, okay, I'm just going to be able to fly how I used to. No. With heat and coolant and what's going to happen is you are going to be able to craft a ship and thrusters that will allow you to reach certain speeds. Those thrusters will be able to, make a certain amount of thrust and everything like that to make it so that you can reach a certain speed. In order to do that, the way that thrusters work in Star Citizen, they're based off what's called a Vasimir thruster. I forget what it stands for, but it's VASIMR. And they require a lot of power and they generate a lot of heat. And so in order to make more thrust, you are going to have more power, which is going to generate more heat. So if you'll be able to go fly at those high speeds for short periods, for short bursts. But if you push your ship to that point, your thrusters will overheat. You will generate too much heat. You will also have to make sure that you have enough power. So you'll have to, if you want these thrusters to work, you're going to have a certain level of power plant to work. But you will only be able to put so much power into them, and your ship will only be able to deliver so much coolant to those thrusters and the power plant and everything at a time. And so your coolant only goes up so far, and you won't be able to keep up with the amount of heat getting generated, and eventually things will overheat. So you won't be able to sustain those speeds. It's essentially you're going to be able to do it for short bursts and stuff. That's why the whole interceptor class is a thing. So
you will be able to blur archetype lines with components. Blur them only. You won't be able to go cruise speed or max navigation speed while in space combat mode.
Yep.
Not gonna be a thing. It will never be a thing. You can never get a drive to do that.
And you're going to have to
2 different settings within the same engine.
Yeah, and these things that you want to do, it's going to be I can do this at a trade-off of this. It's not going to be like an item that just has only pluses. That there's going to be cons to it, and that's going to be the trade-off. And it's going to be built within the resource network system.
Yeah, and like you just said, the trade-off might not be it performs worse. The trade-off might be it just outputs more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think last episode we read through the engineering, not the engineering post, shipyard. It used to be called shipyard, about all the flight components.
Yeah,
go reference that for what stuff's gonna do.
Yeah, exactly. That's why this is in here, and that's why they just put that out, because they're priming us for understanding how this works. And you're going to have the ability to do certain things, but it's not going to be a blank check to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Nope. It's going to be within an ecosystem, and there's going to be risks and rewards and pros and cons and stuff. And the other thing that comes with that is if the more heat you generate and the more power you demand, it costs resources because generating power is going to require fuel. But this is also going to cause more wear and tear. So yeah, it's going to be great for racers, but it's and certain, if you're wanting to do like interceptor type flight and stuff, but you're going to be limited on how much of that maneuvering and that high speed maneuvering and flight you can do. You're going to run significant risk of overheat and component failure. They've been talking about how all these things will work in the system, and so it isn't. People are missing the forest for the trees, because they're discounting all the other things that are being said about this system, and people are going to be unpleasantly surprised that they weren't listening when CIG told them what will happen if you do this. And like, CIG is going to be like, "What? We told you. Your thrusters will overheat and they will misfire. You'll cause damage to them. It isn't just all you have to do is get this high in crafting and get these blueprints and get these resources, and boom, you've gone back to high-speed ship flight." No.
All right. Danger Hobo asks, do I upgrade my Super Hornet or craft a whole new ship? I don't know what quality ships we buy on the web store are going to be, but that is going to be the only definer of the base. And then you can always upgrade your ship within the tree. You don't have to build a new one unless you're upping the quality of materials used for the base ship, or if you've upgraded a ship to tier 2 with mid quality materials, you will have to make a new one if you want to upgrade a second one to tier 2 with quality materials.
Mm-hmm.
Then somebody said, it feels bad if my money ships were obsolete by in-game crafted ships. Will 100% happen day one. Because you can upgrade ships, because you can craft ships and then upgrade them, all stuff made in-game will be better, or can have the potential of being better. For insurance, for crafting, for every single other reason. The stuff you buy on the store is always going to be basic model. With basic insurance.
Yeah.
All the stuff that the game mechanics impose will have a better version for playing the game. The more you play the game, the more you play to win.
Yeah, and it
Buying
isn't
the biggest, best ship is not going to get you very far when
I think it's a
the
misnomer
tier
too
5 Idris shows up.
to think that your ship will be obsolete, because I think that the differences are going to be subtle. You know, it's
It always comes back to where's that win scenario for the conversation.
mm-hmm.
Is it better at going fast? Yeah. If it's one metric, sure. Is it better at taking more hits? Well, sure. You can make one that can take more hits. Is it better at cooling? Sure, you can make one that can take. Is it better at everything? Possibly. If it's like a tier 5 Hornet that they've spent 100 hours working on and gathering resources, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's you don't buy. Well, I hope they don't have all the ships come in at tier 5 ships, because then that is just pay to win. Because you start the game and you have an infinite amount of tier 5 ships. That just sounds like pay to win to me. Because you don't have to play the game, and somebody with less money can't achieve that.
The other thing is, with crafting, your crafted ships are going to be more difficult to put warranties on. It's going to be you have to get your warranties in order to get your crafted ship replaced. Because remember, if you craft a ship and it doesn't have a warranty, but you have insurance on it, then you just get the insurance payout. You don't get the ship back. So that there is,
and like you built the ship in the first place, so like that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of risk and
reward. If you built the ship,
to crafting.
You should be able to build another one.
Yeah, and that's what this is what incentivizes people to repair their ships, to not let them get destroyed, to have get rescued and towed back and everything like that. Because if you crafted a tier 5 ship and it gets disabled and everything, you can't just you're going to have to work hard to get those. The warranties aren't going to be easy to come by, and so you're going to want to warranty that ship. But if you don't warranty that ship, then that ship is really valuable to you and you really don't want to lose it. So continuing on, this is I posted this in Twitter too, because this is a huge deal for me, is the heat gameplay. So the team, I'm going to reread this. The team also made progress toward implementing heat gameplay for ship thrusters. This involved, so this ties back into what we just read. This involved adding filters to the engineering UI to allow players to only see items of a particular category. For example, all weapons or all items with malfunctions. So the big difference in thrusters is you have main thrusters, the ones on the back of your ship that make you go forward. You have maneuvering thrusters, which are the ones that are all over your ship. Yeah, that are small and are meant for short but powerful bursts in order to turn your ship and help maneuver it. And then you can have VTOL thrusters, and there can be fixed VTOL thrusters that like what are on the belly of, say, the Carrack, and a lot of other large ships that are in development have fixed VTOL thrusters on the belly. And I imagine things like the 890 jump will get them on the belly eventually.
I mean, they
basically
have a few.
There is thrusters down there,
few.
but I don't think there's. I don't know if they have the dedicated VTOLs yet, or they'll add more of them, just based off what the need is, based off the ship mass and stuff. But then
it's supposed to be able
you
to
also
hover.
And it's what will allow for the VTOL thrusters on the belly of big ships is what will allow for them to even physically land. It's not to allow for your big ships to hover like a helicopter. It's what will be there to allow for them to actually land. Because if you just had maneuvering thrusters, you wouldn't be able to land those ships. They'd be too big, too heavy. The maneuvering thrusters are meant to overheat very quickly. And so you won't even, with your maneuvering thrusters, be able to hover for an extended period of time in a Gladius. They're meant for in fighters and small ships for you to be able to slow down, come to a brief hover, and then settle and land. Not sit like this and turn and do like we do now. What makes that happen is heat. And VTOL thrusters are meant to be able to provide sustained thrust just like your mains. That's all. They are, very nearly main thrusters. And some ships, like the Valkyrie, They have those those rotating VTOLs are just strictly mains. They are main thrusters, and so they have a substantial ability to hover, and can they can't and they won't be able to hover indefinitely, but for much longer periods of time and have a lot more maneuverability while in a hover based off of that. And this is what's going to change a lot of things for the flight model and the gameplay for a whole lot of ships, and it's going to change a lot about how we fly in atmospheres and in gravity. Yeah, that's why there's VTOL modes and stuff. And they've also been highlighting that for different ships as they've come out. They added more VTOL thrusters on the belly of the Zeus CL because they knew that they needed to have more thrust on the belly to compensate for the fact of how much cargo it is meant to carry. So this is something to think about, because them working on implementing heat gameplay for ship thrusters is the next big step towards this being a thing.
Yeah, and I forget who
and-
said it. I probably was also Tomato. Said that the last paragraph in this one kind of sounds a lot more like polish to a feature than feature work.
Yeah. No more hovering fighters and stuff. What you bring, what you use. But this, along with fuel consumption, and everything that goes into all that, as they get all these things in and then start tweaking and balancing them, the decisions you make will be far more impactful, because hovering will also cost a lot of money. And how you fly your ship, things are going to change substantially. And I don't think a lot of people are ready for it.
Yeah, the next one's also engineering.
Selection improvements were also added to the UI. Now left click will cycle through the 2 closest items useful for doors covering components. And right click will show all overlapping items and allow selection. So yeah, there's a lot of fine tuning of engineering, gameplay, and resource network that is being done right now. Whether it's 4.2, 4.3, I will say that I'm confident that engineering and resource network are this year. The question is it summer or is it fall? How soon?
Yeah. So my whole theory on updates this year is that if you look at the release view, 4.1 has under it Q1, Q2, 2025. So I imagine that is going to be our home for the next 3 months as well. The earliest we see a 4.2 is, I guess no, it's going to be, so
July.
Yeah, the earliest I
July.
think we'll see. Yes, I'm trying to rethink this through because I got some math wrong last time I did the Soul Spiel.
I forgot the other thing I was going to say, but continue.
I think 4.2 is our September-October patch.
Oh.
Even though that does say Q2 up there. So technically, if 4.2, the name, comes in before September, October, I think it will be a 4.1, a content push with a bunch of stuff in it. Not what we're waiting for, the big
main dev
code
branch
pull from the dev branch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I forget their names. I'm pretty sure dev branch is the one they work on. Everything's broken. Main branch is live branch, but then was live branch. Anyway. The branch everything's broken on that we haven't had a poll since last September. The reason why I think it's September, October, and not August is because there's 210 things to bug fix. There's engineering. There is, I had a whole bunch of stuff. There may be crafting. There may be scanning. There may be, transport systems still being worked on. ATC is still being worked on. Starware is being worked on. What other stuff did they just add that's being worked on? Give me a moment. You said you remembered something?
Oh, yeah. So the other thing is the if we need feature parity with Squadron 42, which is the includes the flight model, um, so the new quantum travel experience with quantum boost, but also the control surfaces and all that. None of that stuff makes sense without heat and engineering. Now they can fake it or have it in a very limited capacity, or are probably already using what they have for the ships in Squadron, but they can't add in those things to the PU for all the other ships without adding in resource network and engineering and heat gameplay, the thruster changes. So
Yeah.
those things have to be in the PU before Squadron releases in order for us to be in feature parity. Even though you're not doing engineering gameplay, really in a Gladius in Squadron, the underlying system needs to be there for you to fly your non-squadron ships in Star Citizen like you fly your ships in Squadron, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So there's engineering, life support, the thing that comes with fire, resource network, charge drain, base building, crafting, engineering. Base building's a bit further out, so ignore that one.
Yeah.
FPS scanning. What was the other one that was down here? Radiation. We just got the space combat missions, which is now ending in May. Which a lot of this stuff is ending in May. There's also way too many graphics optimizations and improvements that are in the dev branch.
Yep.
And like Ali Brown said, to get them out of the dev branch without pulling a whole bunch of other code would be really problematic and take way too much time. So they just need to do all of it instead, unless the executives say otherwise. There was a thing you were just talking about. Oh, atmospheric flight. So control services, Maelstrom, the quantum travel experience, so the entire flight experience. All of this is in the dev branch right now.
Yep.
And in a good spot in the dev branch. So whether it's called 4.2 or 4.3, so if it happens, I hope it's so. Being that it could be
for
the
me,
August patch, I'd rather it be the August patch.
Yeah, it's 4.2 is the Q3 patch. The question is, when they say Q3, are they talking about beginning of Q3? And it's the third patch of the year. Well, like that's the thing is, are we going to get four full patches this year, or are we going to get three? And so do we expect 4.2 is Q3 and they're going to call it Q3 even though it's the second main full patch and it comes in the beginning of July, and then we get a 4.3. I think that they're going to I think what they're doing is they're alternating. So
I
we
also
got
think
4.0.
we're getting one pull this year. There will be one code pull, and that is all of this junk.
Yeah, I think there'll be one I think the one code pull like a 6-month cadence. So they'll do another one for the beginning of next year. And then that way they've got like 3 quarters before Squadron releases to bug fix all of that stuff. I don't think they're gonna.
You think Squadron's coming out late the year?
I think Squadron's coming out late. I think it's going to come out around CitizenCon 2026. And
that is a good theory.
Yeah, and I'm fine with it because it gives them more time to polish the things that they still need to pull over from the main dev branch, because I don't think they're going to do it all in one pull. I think there's too much.
That would if the goal is CitizenCon next year, that would make way more sense why this year's digital. However, I'm still gonna so far stick to my theory that it is Invictus next year.
Yeah, it could be. We'll see.
So
I mean, and they could be aiming for Invictus, and then it slips to CitizenCon. But I think not having
that would be the best way to release Squadron for the entire internet. Put up a giant ad that says May 9th or whatever Invictus is that year, Squadron 42, and then just blatantly miss it saying it's coming out in October. Oh, that'd be perfect.
See, I think not having an in-person CitizenCon this year is because they want to have an in-person CitizenCon for Squadron's release next year and have it be the biggest one yet. But I absolutely think that we're getting engineering this year. I think that it's too far along in development for them to not add it this year because they were close and we've already been testing it. There are other things where it's like, well, we don't know. But I think that because of what we're seeing in the monthly reports based off of engineering and FPS radar and scanning, which is, all of radar and scanning because it's a holistic system, I think those are the two things that are the most likely to see this year. Because when Yogi et al. Have talked about the new quantum travel system and the changes to the flight model and stuff, they have been saying that it's in testing, but it's internally, but it's not ready for multiplayer or public testing. And we've already had resource network and engineering in multiplayer and public testing. So,
and even when we had engineering in Ring Commander, they said that was a shadow of what they already had on the dev branch.
Well, like Scissor Fuzz, I don't mean that they'll be like, oh, Squadron's live right now, and all of you here are fucked. I mean, the release date, they will have a big old demo, and it will go live like days, 2 days after, 3 days after, whatever, like right around CitizenCon, not like that day.
It really depends on marketing at that point because marketing really does need to have a really big say on the actual date the Squadron releases, because they're not contending with us, the people who are already sold on it. They're not contending with the fans. They're not contending with the people who are keeping track of the game. They're contending with literally every other game in the entire industry and everyone who hasn't heard of Squadron 42. Which, yes, some of those people are also playing Star Citizen. There are 2 times you release a game in the year. Spring, Christmas. So it's going to be one of those 2 times. If you are a AAA game, you release in one of those 2 times. If there is anything near your game, you delay it. So, very fortunately, there's no big space opera games coming out next year that we know of. If Mass Effect is labeled for next year, it's going to get dicey. Not that it's the same game, it's the same audience that is not already on board. I am not a marketing expert. This is just the stuff that I do know about video game marketing. There's 1,000 times more knowledge and complexity to releasing a game. So if it is not out by CitizenCon, it will be a Christmas release. Chris will not walk on stage and say, it is now out, go play, or it will not be, it's out in a couple weeks, it will be a Christmas release. Or in time for a Christmas release, technically. So you can buy it as a gift for Christmas. Is how that works.
All right, I'm going to keep reading because we've still got a lot to go. Work was also completed toward item recovery tier 0, with various items being added to blacklists alongside fixes for related respawn flow issues. Progress was made on FPS radar and scanning. Now, item components can be detected within vehicles while players inside and excluded when outside. The feature's debug tools were improved too. The ongoing transit system rework, known as the transport system, progressed throughout March, with the team adding setup validation and debugging for non-physicalized carriages to better detect setup issues. The ability to connect carriage zones by a transport network needed for minimap routing was added, as were destination categories and priorities, along with the means to display destinations on carriage panels.
Which, funnily enough, whatever happened with that update, with whatever work they did for the transport system now,
Yep.
had some effect on the live game because in 3.4.1, the routing system will actually route not into, but it will stop gap to a train and then after a train.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it works.
Even though we don't have the transport system yet.
Yeah.
We have the fix it and replace it later system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the temp old one, old and busted.
Yeah.
A reward mechanic for collection missions was implemented, which is used for the collector missions, while the ability to automatically retrieve items from freight or ship elevators via HUD notification was added.
Neat. I haven't seen that.
For the mission system, the team fixed a bug preventing introductory contracts not counting toward difficulty progression. Sharing prerequisites was also implemented. This allows players to invite others to accept contracts they would otherwise be ineligible for, providing they meet a specific requirement, such as locality or reputation. Time was also spent fixing bugs and improving the robustness of the new player experience alongside solving issues causing various missions to be disabled. The comms notifications progressed too, including one-way comm calls from mission givers to the players and comms notifications being triggered by changing mission states such as completed or failed. The mission designers can now trigger comms notifications from mission logic. They also began implementing 3D building blocks to display more interesting scenes, as the previous method was no longer supported by server meshing. Pardon me. Finally, for core gameplay, improvements were made to commodity kiosks to give a better flow to transactions, while fixes were made for bugs relating to hangars, freight elevators, and ship deliveries. And I'll read economy so you can do graphics. Economy. The economy team provided balancing support for supply or die, with the devs deeming it overtuned on release. Economy worked with mission design to address the issues as quickly as possible without imposing hard limits. Going forward, both teams will collaborate more closely to establish a stable and holistic approach to balancing open-ended missions with multiple viable solutions. Our aim is to maximize player choices and enable emergent gameplay, but balance against exploitable patterns.
Maddie has a very good point. They are contending with GTA 6. I certainly hope it comes out this year because Squadron's coming out next year.
Yep.
And technically, on a very technical, but GTA is big enough to anything should be scared of it. GTA would actually have more to compete with Star Citizen than Squadron. They're thematically different and their gameplay different. Those two things together normally mean they're not really competing, but it's big enough that it will take players. It just will. And you want, and really the entire gamble is the day one sales. You will always have year one sales, year 2, year 10 sales. So it really, the big thing is the day one sales. And if you release within a month of GTA 6, you will have a hit because people are busy playing GTA 6 that they are not ready for a new game yet. They are fully immersed in GTA 6.
And it's not even the play time. It's also the amount of media coverage you can get. Because people are going to be covering stuff that gets clicks, gets views. And if GTA 6 is released and people are still reading about it and learning about it, you're the chance of you getting the articles and the video coverage on IGN and stuff, you will get less screen time.
Yep. And back when Given Form had physical magazines, cover articles. GTA will probably be the cover article when it comes out. So if you know another game is taking that spot, then you have 0 chance. If you don't know, you have a chance. And anything CIG does has been the dumping ground for the internet for the last 15 years. So everyone's going to talk about it in some capacity, whether to hate it on it or to laud it as they finally did something.
All right, graphics.
Graphics, VFX programming, and Planet Tech. Two of my favorite things. Last month, the graphics team overhauled GPU memory management. This allowed them to add new options and visualization for the GPU memory required for each and auto detect for suitable resolution, upscaling, and graphics. I forget where they mentioned it. They're actually going to let us tell the game how much GPU memory they're going to allow it, or they're going to let us choose how much GPU memory we let the game have. There we go. Gas Clouds received major visual upgrades. Again, this is in the dev branch, not in live yet. Thanks to the same density shaping and shading technology used for planetary clouds. Global illumination was upgraded too, with improvements to the image stability and accuracy for both diffused and specular reflections. Also in the dev branch, not currently in ours. Planetech V5 continued to make good progress, with the team finalizing the distribution and shading of much denser rock formations with more physically plausible placement. Period. The virtual terrain system is closer to completion, with runtime compression being worked on next.
I do
Planetech
hope
V5
that
is just the thing that just makes me so excited.
yeah, that if there's anything that they show off for Virtual Citizen Con, this is what I want to see.
Yep. This and building interiors and hacking and crafting and base building. At this point, I'll be upset when they show the underground of DCs. Yeah. I want building interiors. I want Planetech V5. Planetech V5 is the weather, so. Yep. I forget. That was in the last. Monthly report. So they have talked about it recently. VFX programming team polished several features, such as fire, network bandwidth for damage map, and creatures. Vulcan stability was also improved. This is also needed for Squadron. After discussions with NVIDIA led to the diagnosis of potential issues, it's not technically that exciting that they were in talks with NVIDIA, because any AAA game studio is in talks with both AMD, NVIDIA, well, I say both, and Intel, to make sure that their crap is optimized and make sure it's not their fault that their game's not running good. One in the driver and one in the game. So one time was NVIDIA's fault, one time was CAG's fault. Workarounds to both were added into the latest PTU patch. So that was nice. They were able to put that straight into the game. But there was also several improvements that are not able to be in the game because there's too much code within the dev branch that is needed. All right.
Mission design. March saw mission design continuing to fix up various older missions that were deprioritized in the refactor. Alpha 4.1 was unveiled to the community on the PTU, introducing a new sandbox activity that players can engage in for the unique items. There's a big push for increased production value on missions, with a lot of departments helping out to ensure the experience is the best we can get. Mission design team. The team also worked on Rayari and Wicklow, the two new mission givers who require items found during the new missions.
They use Rayari as a mission giver.
Yeah, weird.
This is if we're using factions and people or factions that show up in Mobius as mission giver, sure, you can call Wicklow mission giver. However, calling him the first mission giver in the game when we had Kovalex giving out cargo missions, no. Narrative. Aligning with the increased release schedule cadence, Alpha 4.1 was a major focus for the narrative team in March. For the new Hathor orbiting mining facilities, this included adding discoverable data pads around the site, polishing numerous missions that utilize the new location, and working with art to improve digital signage. There are missions that use the Hathor bases? I haven't seen one. I didn't even know they existed. Do they mean the new locations as in the Wicklow place?
Maybe. Or maybe they're talking about other locations. I don't know.
The patch release also brings the major milestone. This is an NPC, Wicklow, not really, go away. We had a lot of fun in creating the character and making the Emporium a place players would enjoy exploring once.
Oh, bounty
Narrative
missions
team.
and merc missions. I see.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. I'm glad they had fun time. It is important that our developers have proper enrichment. Narrative also ran a capture session that focused on adding dialogue to several upcoming missions, as well as introducing 2 new factions representing representatives who players will work with during specific contracts. Hello? What? Yes?
New faction representatives.
Missed that the first time. Representatives, as in mission givers, as in people in front of you. Hopefully, not
Maybe.
Wicklow mission giver who you don't see. Like, I really like when they said the executive like suites in DCs, I was expecting like Constantine Hurston, where you go into his office and you get contracts from him. I was
Well, that's the
expecting
plan.
Grey Cat to have missions from a representative inside of a DC.
Mm-hmm. That's what they want. That's what they've said. We just don't have it yet.
So, like, that's what that says to me is we will have faction mission givers in places like DCs.
Mm-hmm.
And also, poor ArcCorp. It is getting so kicked to the curb so many times. They really need to, like, just bite the bullet and do the fix.
Yeah, come on, content.
Like, if they're waiting for Planetech V5, I guess fine, fair enough. But, like, oof, please make that like the first planet they do. Like, it's gotten pretty bad.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of content to make for it. Like,
oh yeah, it should be a content powerhouse.
yeah. Like, not only is that the place they're gonna put the instanced sewer raids, whatever they are, but like just the structures, the land structures themselves have just so much content you need to make. And with Hurston being a new level of detail, plus obviously billion interiors. Oh boy. Like, there's a lot to work on. And I really, really hope they do Stanton before we get to Castra. Because Castra is going to be the new gold standard. I would really hope we work on the stuff that we already have in game that is been neglected for years before we have the new stuff. Because we have the new stuff already.
We'll see.
I just hope they have the updates for Stanton before.
Yeah, we'll see what
the same
throughput
update we have
for planet content ends up being.
Well, we haven't heard of Nyx in forever, and my hypothesis being it was mostly done anyway. So I assume they got Nyx done, and we're just either waiting for Dynamic or they're waiting for Planetech V5 to redo the 3 moons of no importance because it's rock, and smog. They are literally called out as being ice rock, mindless rock, or oreless rock, and smog planet. So Nyx has nothing in it that Planetech V5 is really going to do.
Yeah.
Let's see. Additionally, the last one, the team helped refactor older missions with updated contracts. There was also ongoing work with design to refine some of the locations coming this year. To ensure they will provide rich narrative experiences. So, more locations.
Yeah.
Nice.
I am very excited about more locations because like so many of the planets, like for how big they are, and that's one of the other big things about Planetech V5 is the whole Starchitect thing.
Yeah.
Making the planets feel like they are planets with, you know, the livable
That's the most
ones,
haunting starting sound I've ever heard.
But you know that there's entire planets with only a couple dozen, if that, locations on them, and they're the size of the square mileage of Russia. Well, and so there's a lot to do to fill them up, and
Oh,
adding in a lot more locations is exciting, even if it's just sandbox content.
I just read the comment under the thing you linked me. Yeah, that's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like they
Online,
said, this wouldn't be a multi-month like run on getting dynamic in. But the reason it has been longer than we probably expected it to be is because again, we haven't had a dev branch poll since September last year,
mm-hmm.
and they don't want to do the whole update. Everything's broken now. Um, so what I think is going to happen, even though I would like August to be the nice patch of new content or new feature work, not technically features. I think what they'll do is they'll do another 4.2 in August. Will be as much as they can get in without breaking crap, and we will put all of the junk from that we need to put on into an EPTU or something, so that we can work on it for the next 6 months. Have a CitizenCon release of it.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is that thing that they talked about where they've got the EPTU and they've got features in the EPTU. We haven't seen that yet. That could happen at any time. We don't know.
And they really need to get like. There's a lot of stuff to work on. Like, there's a lot of work to do, and
Yep.
like we know from 4.0, Evocati will get burnt out. Like, they are really resourceful, and if you don't break it up and have like targeted things, they're just gonna get burnt out real fast. And there's too much work to do for a proverbial 4.2 that is in the dev branch that will need to all come in at the same time. I think a better use of Evocati would be playtests. Put for the proverbial 4.2 on, or 4.3. We'll call it 4.3. Onto EPTU for starting the waves, wave 1, and start with all that. So like just harden it, make sure it works, and then release more. Or at least we'll go through the Evocati just to make sure it works. And then expand it. And use Evocati not as hammer this till it breaks, but hey, Evocati, we're working on this today. And this week we have this theme. Do this instead of you have the entire patch. Give us stuff that we need to fix. Use the waves for those.
Mm-hmm.
And have Evocati be much more targeted and playtest focused. What are you doing, Kat?
Before I read Online Technology, Stark's Realities, Nyx isn't empty. Everybody after the show, go to the Galactopedia and read about Nyx. And go find the original Galactic Guide about Nyx and see how that compares. It's not empty. Just because like there aren't full-on habitable, terraformed, and livable planets full of people doesn't mean it's empty. There was plenty of stuff going on in Nyx. It's very much like Pyro in that a lot of it has been abandoned and then taken over by people who now live there. Yeah. So
Mixed
Nyx,
with it's Pyro with only 3 moon-like planets, and with a lot more asteroid bases.
yeah, a lot of asteroid bases, and we're gonna. I think it's Nyx 2 or
Comparatively,
Nyx
though,
1.
it is
I forget
really
which
empty.
one is the one that's going to have a lot of abandoned mining facilities. And so I expect abandoned, like kind of like the ones we have in Pyro, but I would also expect to see derelict DCs there.
But comparatively to Stanton and Pyro, it's pretty empty.
Yeah, it's the same amount of empty that Pyro is in reality. Except for there's fewer planets. There's fewer planetary
And
locations.
there's not many space stations either. Like,
yeah, well, but that's the thing. It's there's less planets, so there's less Lagrange points, so there's less stations. So it's meant to be, it's the system size is only slightly larger than Pyro. It's just there's less planets there, so there's less locations on those planets.
Nyx does not need a purge.
Yeah,
Nyx people are fine.
yeah.
they don't believe in breaking the law. They just say
Yeah.
if you do it, don't tell us about it.
Yeah, and I'm sure that we will probably see some moons added to Nyx. There's going to be plenty of systems where moons get added and everything like that. But there are very few named and sort of storied and important moons listed in the Galactopedia. A lot of the moons are going to end up being less important locations compared to the planets and other stellar locations. All right, online technology.
Yeah, and not every system needs to be a hero system like Stanton or Pyro or Castra or Terra or Sol. Like Nyx can be a B tier, really can.
Mm-hmm. There's plenty of going to be plenty of gameplay based off of what they're talking about for Nyx. Online technology. In March, the Live Tools team focused on improving the usability of their main support tool, Hex. The online services team worked on the first pass of the services ecosystem to support upcoming development by the gameplay teams. Various social improvements were made, including optimizations to kicking members from groups, the create group flow, and the rollback strategy for the add members flow. They also added metrics to identify the origins of Scala DB queries, request logging options, and configurations to specify the maximum number of concurrent requests. For analytics, configurations were added to the HTTP clients and to enable Kafka connections. For missions, entities were removed from the shard tag, while the mission system was updated too.
Nice. Not a lot there, and a lot of weird stuff there that like deals with a lot of like if not in the industry, you don't know. Nice. New kicking mechanic. I'm good. Unfortunately, it's not kicking from the shard. It's just kicking from parties. Yeah, so like Skilla DB is obviously a database of some kind. Kafka, no idea. Hex, though, the more work is done on that, the more they have ammo against bad actors and helping out people who have problems with their account. So, all fun stuff. Though, added HTTP client to enable Kafka connections. I wonder if that is something to do with getting the game better connected with the website. Closer to the Matrix of Lies being less the Matrix of Lies.
That could be related. I could see that.
All right. 3 to go. R&D. In March, gas cloud details rendering was improved using techniques used by planetary volumetric clouds, which we said earlier. Now the artist can refine the density provided by the original gas cloud volume database, or VDB, via procedural noise using runtime shaping and erosion calculations. Moreover, edge albedo can be controlled to further emphasize the cloud's volumetric structure. Additionally, a configuration gradient was added to control the blend between the original and shaped densities. This allows the team to keep the density of the original VDB data in thin areas of clouds while adding more detail to denser areas. For dynamic weather, somebody mentioned that earlier, the rain volume calculation was improved to increase content authoring. The vertical distribution along the local height of the lightning event was also refined. Furthermore, the volumetric rendering of lighting was enhanced to provide more flexibility in controlling the lightning gradient. Lightning gradient.
I'm going to get zapped.
So weather being in full production.
Tech design. Tech design spent March working on an upcoming in-game event supporting mission design with gameplay entity and logic flow setup. And last but not least,
VFX progressed with the tasks for the Valkar. They also supported the location teams with effects for 4.1, new mission locations including the orbital laser platform, borehole cave, and satellite dish.
neat. And that is it for the March monthly report for 2025. Let's go ahead and switch screens. Alrighty. We're going to have to get out of here pretty quick because I need to get to bed because I have to work in the AM
Oof.
But thank you everyone for joining us and coming hanging out this evening. It's been fun chatting with you all as we go through the Roadmap Roundup and the monthly report. Really appreciate all the support. Thank you so much, Victoria, for the gifting those subs. A lot of new faces in the chat, so really great to see you guys. I really appreciate you coming and hanging out and being a part of the conversation. I really enjoy the input and hearing from all of y'all. If you haven't followed the channel, I would appreciate if you did.
So say we all.
If you're not in the Discord, the link on my Twitch page should still be good. It's always open. So feel free to come join the Discord and come continue the conversation. We'd love to have you. Naz and I are hopefully going to be able to schedule one more episode before around next weekend before I get moved out for a week and a half while they do repairs to my house, and I'm living in a Airbnb for almost 2 weeks. So we'll keep you posted.
Yeah, we should be able to get one up next week. I just got to figure out if Saturday or Sunday better. So I got to figure
which
out
one. Yep. Yeah,
Yep.
and we will plan on that, and I'll keep you posted in the Discord and on Twitter and stuff, and we'll go from there. And I will hopefully have this up on YouTube on Tuesday since I have to work tomorrow. But yeah, let's find someone to raid. I am taking suggestions. Please, anyone that you would like us to raid, would love to hear it. So we always want to pay it forward and show someone else the love. Anyone I'm following on? No one I'm following is playing Star Citizen.
at 1:00 in the morning. I'm shocked.
Yep. All right. Any?
So next episode is Operation Naz reads all of them.
Yeah, Naz reads everything. Whoa.
I don't know if you saw the dissertation I did in the Discord this morning.
Yours or?
Yeah. So when I edited the what's it called, the spreadsheet, I posted that and the quote from CitizenCon, and I went and got the quote from Ellie Brown, and just like was pulling all the strings to make this like argument that like, hey, we're really behind, but like because of that September thing.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Ferrosalt's playing Ashes of Creation. Nomadic Aviator. Search. Nomadic Aviator. Oh, he's a IRL military pilot. Sweet.
Hey.
Yep, oh, that's cool. He's got cameras showing off his hands, and
Symbol.
I forget that. Yeah, that thing. Very cool. Sweet. All right, let's go ahead and start the raid and send you guys over there. Show them some love, give them some support, tell them I said hi. Thank you for joining us, and we will hopefully see you again this next weekend, and I'll keep you posted about what we're going to be chatting about. Cheers. Goodbye.
Bye.